Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Coming. Thank you to everyone at the back. Oh, here we go. Well, get ready, your Friday night starts here. Hello to my wonderful live studio audience. On tonight's show, here we go.
And it firmly places Nigel Farage on the side of predators and paedophiles and not on the side of keeping children safe.
Our children. But when do you say, oh, yeah, okay, your kids don't matter then? Of course they matter.
Well, the government has been trying to silence social media posts about immigration, plus...
So what's happened to that David Cameron who called it on?
The civil service will only accept working-class interns next year. Is this good or is it discrimination? And...
when you sing this song with me, please change the pronouns to it's raining them.
A teacher is making primary school pupils call them by their preferred pronouns. Also... Mohammed is now the UK's top baby name 2 years in a row. Well done, Mohammed. Plus... people who work from home clock off at 3 p.m, according to a new study. I think it might be a little bit earlier than that, don't you? But anyway, on my panel tonight, we have got former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. We've got former Labour MP Stephen Pound. Oh, it's already a pantomime. We've got... I won't ask what he did. We've also got broadcasting royalty Christo Fufa. And former Reform UK spokesman Gawain Towler. Oh, we're already off to a flyer, aren't we? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Asylum seekers are getting free prescriptions, glasses, dental and transport on the NHS. Next.
Thank you very much. The top stories: lenders appear to have avoided potentially having to pay compensation to millions of drivers after the Supreme Court ruled they are not liable for hidden commission payments in car finance schemes. The court sided with one of the claimants, say Mr Johnson, and awarded him individual compensation due to the circumstances in his case. Two lenders, First Rand Bank and Close Brothers, went to the UK's highest court to challenge a Court of Appeal ruling which found secret commission payments paid by buyers to car dealers as part of finance arrangements made before 2021 without the motorist's fully informed consent were unlawful. It's been revealed that foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. According to official data published for the first time, the number of foreigners in prisons for serious violent, sexual and theft offences has also risen over the past year. Elsewhere, Donald Trump says he's ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions in a row with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. It comes after Mr Medvedev, who's now deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, told the US president yesterday to remember that Moscow had Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort. Today, Mr. Trump wrote on social media, based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements, he says, are more than just that. The spat between Mr. Trump and Mr. Medvedev came after the US president warned Russia on Tuesday it had 10 days from today to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tariffs. Elsewhere, a 76-year-old man has been charged with child cruelty offences after youngsters fell ill at a summer camp. Jonathan Rubin is accused of 3 offences of willful ill-treatment of a child relating to 3 boys. Police received a report of children feeling unwell at a camp being held near Melton in Leicestershire on Sunday. Officers said paramedics attended the scene and 8 boys aged between 8 and 11 were taken to hospital as a precaution, as was an adult. They have since been discharged. Rubin will appear in court tomorrow. And the King's nephew, Peter Phillips, has announced his engagement to girlfriend Harriet Sperling. Peter and his partner were pictured in photographs released to mark the occasion, with Miss Sperling showing off her engagement ring. The King, Queen and senior royals have been told the news, but a date has yet to be officially set for the wedding. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news at an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome along to this wonderful live studio audience show. Thank you very much to everyone who has made the journey to be here tonight. But I do actually want to say a big thank you. You have made GB News the #1 news channel in the country. We have overtaken the BBC for the first time. And now Sky News is a distant third. It's finished. It's over. It's game over. They might as well just give up. It's finished. You know when we first started, people used to laugh at us about the ratings, didn't they? They'd say, oh, nobody watches GB News. They'd say to me things like, oh, you don't work at GB News, do you? Well, yeah, I do. I bloody love it, and I'm flipping proud of it. And now we are #1, so you can stick that in your pipe and smoke it, can't you? There is an army of people out there, a people's army, who have had enough of the status quo, they've had enough of being lied to by the establishment media, and enough of being talked down to. Right? And I think one of the really special things about GB News is that when you turn on the TV, there's a good chance you'll see someone who's a bit like you on the telly doing the news, and you'll feel as though your views are represented. So, thank you. There you go, there's one there. There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone behind the scenes who works incredibly hard and has worked very, very hard over the years. Thank you to the bosses for putting up with me for the last few years, because I haven't, believe it or not, I haven't always made it that easy for them, so there you go. But most importantly, thank you to everyone who tunes in, from the people who were here right at the start, to the people who have it on all day in every room of their house, to the people who've only just joined us. I promise that we will keep fighting for you. So, all right, well, with that in mind, let's crack on with the show as planned and get ready to get very angry, because asylum seekers are getting free prescriptions, free eye tests, discounted glasses, free dental, free wigs, even free travel, free wigs, even free travel to and from their appointments. Well, it's not free, is it? Because we're all paying. We are all paying. You're paying. Now, if you're on a low income, you can get a free NHS pass, which helps you out with stuff like that. But 59% of those passes in the last 5 years have gone to asylum seekers. That's nearly 1 million. It's nearly 1 million. And get this, another 317,000 have gone to people who were here legally as well, which is remarkable. Now, I'm not sure why they need it. It does seem as though they've got doctors and nurses in a lot of their migrant hotels anyway.
There were concerns too about adding pressures on local GP services.
And then come in the country and get what I want, to see a doctor.
And you might remember a little while ago, GB News went to have a look around the Bibby Stockholm. Remember that? Those heady days of the Bibby Stockholm barge. And there was a doctor's unit on there as well, in the barge. Now, an illegal migrant is able to claim for all of that free stuff I said the second they land in Britain. So from the moment, they don't even have to be approved, they don't even have to have already started to seek asylum, they don't have to do anything, they just get it straight away, which means that all of these lads... And I stand before you today, currently stood in the middle of an illegal migrant warehouse full of young Sudanese Brents. You will see an overhanging warehouse full of more Sudanese men. All of these people are on their way to Britain. They're about to come to Britain. Some of them will probably be here already, and they're going to get everything for free on the NHS. Anyone with one of these free passes can get free stuff for their relatives as well. So there's that. And kids, people who are under 18. It's remarkable, all of this, isn't it? Can you get an NHS appointment that easily? Is your dentist taking on new customers? Do you get free glasses if you need free glasses? If you need glasses, no, you don't, do you? Does someone come and pick you up and take you to your appointment? No. Well, even if you could get an appointment, you'd probably turn up to the waiting room and you see a load of strapping young men from Eritrea in the queue in front of you. So there you go. Right, let's get the views of my panel on this. I mean, this is an absolutely remarkable story. Gawain making your debut on the show this evening. What do you make of this story here?
I mean, it's the idea that illegal migrants make up 1% of the population, but over 50% of the free stuff given, the free NHS care. So the 48% who are UK citizens, that is the lowest paid. That is the people who need it the very most. And yet, that free stuff is going to people who we don't know who they are, we don't know where they're from, we don't know why they're here. It's an outrage.
Is that right, Jane?
No, I agree. I think some of the things that made me especially angry with my £1 pair of reading glasses is that you can get £288 towards glasses. I'm in the wrong gig here. But the other thing that made me quite angry is once you have the certificate, even if your circumstances completely change, you can keep getting the free stuff until it expires. So even if someone who's on a low income and they've emigrated here, even if they get a very well-paid job, they could have 9 more months of free stuff. Or, you know, this is...
It's a farce, isn't it, really? I think it's a farce. I just feel like every day something's getting a bit worse. Let us go to our first audience question. By the way, can I just say, for people who are new as well, you know, if you get particularly outraged by something, stick your hand up, wave at me, we'll try and get the microphone to you. So what would you like to say about this?
Yeah, it's quite simple, really. You've already said most of it. There's extra services needed throughout the NHS. We can't even get appointments with the NHS. We can't get appointments with doctors, dentists, anybody. The hospital. Where is all this money coming from?
You.
It does.
Yeah, it's coming from all everyone. It's coming from us. It's taxpayers' money. You know, there's a lad at the back there. Do you want to say something quickly or not? No. Oh, fair enough. But he's not happy. He's not happy either, is he? So, there we go. Chris, go on. What would you like to say on this?
Well, I mean, I heard that Lord Arley was in charge of the glasses, wasn't he? He was providing them.
Here's one.
They're expensive. How much are yours? £1?
£1.
I don't think Keir Starmer's were £1.
They weren't.
Look, it's not sustainable. I thought that we were only bringing over doctors and nurses and lawyers anyway that were asylum seekers. Apparently that's not the case. But it isn't sustainable. And I think that there is a wider issue here, and that is the perception that if you are someone who plays by the rules, if you're a British person that pays their taxes, goes out to work, does all the stuff you're supposed to do, rings up the doctor's appointment rings up for a doctor's appointment between 8:20 and 8:23 when you're able to get through to your doctor's surgery, you are at the back of the queue, whereas other people who might be genuine, but many people who aren't, get it all for free. And that is so damaging to the social contract in society. It's so damaging to you going out and working because, as you have pointed out, as many people have pointed out, it's not government money, it's taxpayers' money. And we talk a lot here about how there is no point in working hard anymore because you're taxed to oblivion. Well, here you go. This is why. This is why.
Well, go on. So, Steve, what should the Labour government do here? What should they do?
Well, the Labour government should make damn sure that they're not wasting money by giving it people for syrups and things like that, and that's ludicrous. But look, I mean, I actually went down to the Bibby Stockholm. Wigs. Sorry. I actually went down to the Bibby Stockholm. I'd heard about a medical centre there. In fact, the bloke there was actually checking for transferable diseases like tuberculosis. That's a damn good idea. I think we should be checking on that. In America, you don't get into America unless you actually get checked for TB or some other disease which we won't mention at this time of night. So I think that's a good idea. Look, the ridiculous thing is, when Enoch Powell was Secretary of State for Health, he went all around the West Indies begging people to come to this country to work in the NHS. Now, because we didn't train up our own people. We paid the nurses a pittance. When nurses they got no wages for their first 3 years, they were training. Doctors had to work for 7 years and been there before they started earning money. We have to train up our own people. Then half this problem would disappear. The second half of the problem is these so-called NHS passes. Now, you and I were MPs. You must have had the same as me. People would come to my surgery, get on the plane from Nigeria, 8 3/4 months pregnant, arrive at Heathrow Airport, and you're just about to drop one, and they get taken into the hospital, they're about to give birth. Anyway, but the thing was, every single NHS hospital in this country has a recharge unit. And what happens now, and has happened, in fact, since 2007, is that anyone who does that nowadays will get recharged back.
But we never bothered doing it, did we?
Well, we did round my way. People used to whinge.
We didn't charge back.
No, I said we had a reciprocal arrangement with the European Union. We had treatment in France and they had treatment here. Fair play.
Why can't you just choose to... Why can't you show your national insurance card to get treatment at the NHS? Why can't we have that system? I've been sent my NI card.
Stephen, I'm perplexed. So we train up more nurses than doctors. How does that change the million people turning up here and being able to get free kit? How does it change it?
Well, anyways, if we're talking about the problem of supply rather than the question of demand, we're talking about people demanding this, but you're talking about people queuing up and making the 8 o'clock shuffle to get down the doctors. Well, I'm saying if we had more doctors now, that would be then we could address this issue.
It's true. When Osborne cut the 2,000 quid bursary for nurse training, 50,000 fewer nurses trained in this country. Guess how many nurses we had to import from abroad?
Same number.
About 50,000 of them. But that's mad.
But the thing is, we're talking about training doctors and nurses in order to fulfil the demand. Well, why don't we stop the demand?
Well, can I just say,
that was my question.
A little bit later on in the show, we're going to talk about potential nurses' strikes. We're not going to go too far down that route at the moment. I think it's more of a question of fairness. Is there anyone in this room right now who would like to make a point on this particular issue as well? Oh, it's decided to. Good luck. Have you got the microphone? No, there it goes. Look at that. OK, go on, sir. The floor is yours. You might have to stand up if that's OK. Go on, then.
Hand on heart, with whatever party you're with, whether it's Reform, whether it's Labour, Conservative, where do you foresee the country in 4 years' time? I mean, we've got these clowns for another 3 years. So let's face it, 25,000 at the moment. So by the end of the year, let's say, worst case scenario, in 4 years, there'll be another 200,000, yeah? So it's all cheap talk now saying what's going to happen, but there's 200,000 more people coming to stop people getting to surgeries, dentists, you know. It's all cheap talk. I'm not saying whether Labour, Tory, whoever's right, but we know there's another 200,000 coming. So what are you going to do about that?
But meanwhile, I think I'm not wrong to say that in the last month we've borrowed the second highest amount in the history of the UK. So we are in absolute shtuck in this country. I mean, I don't hate to be defeatist, but we are up the proverbial creek. The paddle, I mean, I didn't even bring it with me. You know, so I mean, this is really, really serious. And I don't know what we're going to do.
What would Reform do about it?
Given that you're right, we've got another 4 years of this shower. It's basically it's spinning a breeze, but you've got to change the incentive structure. You're not going to sink the boats in the Channel, though there's probably about 40% of the population would quite like to. You're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So you've got to change the incentive structure. Why come to Britain if you don't get the free stuff? Absolutely. If you will never get leave to return, then why come?
Can I just say one thing about the medical... Look, I think this business about the free medical stuff, the answer there is that when you actually talk to the doctors, you actually talk to the A&E people, they say if you turn up as an emergency in A&E, they don't ask where your NI card is, they ask where it hurts.
Of course.
And that's a principle we're quite proud of. The sooner we get ID cards in this country, the better. And as soon as that ID card is an entitlement,
Stephen,
that should be...
Stephen, this card that's giving this free stuff is not somebody who's just been hit by a car or been stabbed or something of this sort.
Well,
Put their fist through a window.
You don't know that, do you?
You don't get a card for
somebody
A&E.
topped himself on the Libby Stockholm.
You don't get a card for Yeah, I mean,
already
it doesn't work like that.
card that entitles you to those things, and that's your NI card. Why don't you need another one?
You tell me anyone in this room has got a national insurance card?
No, but you reissue.
Nobody's got them.
No, because you don't need to use them. But if you need to use them, you'd carry one.
All right. Okay. Sorry, Jane. I'll come to you first in the next topic, I'm afraid. But yes, there's rather a lot to come still in this show. And I was wondering whether or not we'd do this, because the last Great British Giveaway closed at midnight last night, didn't it? And I was thinking, oh, have we got another one? The answer is obviously yes. Welcome to the latest Great British Giveaway. And it's something that we've all dreamed... I'm finding this out for the first time, right? It's something that we've all dreamed of, isn't it? The chance to live... I want this. The chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole year.
I'd like a flat. Not in the Bell Hotel.
Let me get through this. So we are going to pay a year's mortgage or rent for you up to a whopping £20,000, plus give you £5,000 in tax-free cash. If you fancy a financial holiday for 12 whole months, here's like being in it to win it.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. It really is your chance to chill out and enjoy the coming year on us. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Loads more coming your way. A primary school teacher demands pupils address them by their non-binary pronouns, which are MX, which I think is... How do you pronounce it? Mix? Anyway, should kids be forced to comply with the pronouns of a teacher? We're also going to be talking about the baby names, clocking off from work early, and the government, apparently, well, they are, trying to silence you for your thoughts online. Stay tuned.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Evening, everybody. Welcome along to Patrick Christys tonight. Thank you to my live studio audience. We've got people who come far and wide from Devon. We've got people from Newcastle. We've got people in. So we'll find out who's travelled the furthest a bit later on in the show. But now, a primary school in the south of England has sent a newsletter to parents casually referring to a new teacher who's going to join the school in September, who happens to identify as non-binary. So after the newsletter, parents began asking some questions, and they were told that the teacher, who is a biological man, it's usually the case, isn't it, has neither a male or female identity. So staff are already referring to their new colleague as they, and some children have mentioned meeting the new teacher and said that he had been wearing nail polish and sounded a bit like a girl, but that's fair enough, I suppose. But several parents have raised concerns about the confusion because the teacher is apparently making the pupils call them mix, which is MX, which again I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Mix. Yeah.
Mixed up is the word.
Well, there we are. Stephen Pound, everybody. So, yeah. Well, look, we want to know what people think about this. Can I go straight away to my studio audience? Have we got someone who wants to make a point on this? Yes, hello. What would you like to say about this? Should the kids be made to indulge this?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Kids should be allowed to be kids. And I think we've gone absolutely woke mad in this country, and we are going to damage our children. I'm all for tolerance. If people want to dress up, paint nails, do whatever they want to do, that's their business. But do not inflict it on our children.
All right. Go on, Jane. Go on, Jane.
I agree with this lady here. I think it is too confusing a concept for primary school children. And I've spoken before how that age I was a proper tomboy. I would have thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'm supposed to be a boy or a mux or a whatever. And the other thing that would drive me absolutely mad, you're trying to teach primary kids grammar and introducing this they thing. I find that so confusing. I never get it right. Even if I were to try to do it, it is really grammatically confusing apart from anything else. So for those children, I just think it's, if they come in one day, it's a lady teacher, then it's a male teacher. Yeah. They're wearing different clothes. You know, these are 8-year-old kids.
Chris, are we just making kids here basically indulge in a teacher's kind of role play?
Look, I was never bought a Curly World Barbie, and I really wanted to be when I was younger, because I liked dolls and I liked those sorts of things. And
I'm going to have to process this.
Yeah. You know, dress-up dolls, you know, just steady on. No other kind.
Not the pussycat dolls.
All right, but the point I'm making is that, you know, when you're younger, there is gender non-conforming, and there are loads. You were gender non-conforming. I was gender non-conforming.
She scrubbed up well, though.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll take it.
As of you,
yeah. But what I really worry about now is, and I believe that you can have a different gender identities at the sex when you're born. I believe that is real. Some people don't believe it's real. I do. The problem is, at what age is it appropriate to discuss it, and at what age is it appropriate to accept it as someone that it might be permanent? Because as with you, someone might have looked at me when I was younger and thought, oh my God, he wants to change his sex or gender or whatever it is. So that I really worry about. Is it such a problem if a child is older to know that exists? I don't have a problem if they're older. If it's secondary school and they've been taught about the fact that gender identity in some people is different, I don't mind someone in secondary school knowing about that. Primary school, I think, is too young.
Go on, Gwen.
Well, the bottom line to me is that we are in a school like that when this demand, you are teaching a child not to believe the evidence that they see before them. According to the story, it looks like a man, but he does do his fingernails. So therefore, you're then now telling this child that actually no, it's not a man, it's a nothing. It's a non.
It's neither.
It's a neither. And so it for the child, particularly a young child, at sort of 5, 6, 7, what on earth they expect? No, by the way, you know it's a man, you know it's a bloke, but it isn't. How does a child register that? How do they work their way through that? And I agree with Christo. Later on in life, fine.
Yeah, secondary school.
Later on in life, fine. But primary school, no.
I was just wondering whether you felt somehow left out because, you know, you actually felt that, you know, you wanted to make the point. Because we're reading this thing here, and one thing immediately springs to mind. This bloke is looking for an industrial tribunal. He's longing. he's looking for the tin tack, isn't he? He's absolutely guaranteed. That's what it's all about. But look, this is a bit close to home for you. I've got a couple of grandchildren, which may confuse some of you, and they're just starting primary school, and they call all the teachers, regardless, it's sir or miss. And the reason they call them sir or miss is not because it's some hierarchical thing you've got to say, you know, but sir. It's because you don't know the names. You've got to call them something. You can't learn all the teachers' names. And schools that say, when you had a head teacher comes and says, oh, call me Arthur. No, that's wrong. It's sir or miss. Now, I actually think that sex education is sometimes appropriate at the top end of a primary school because there's a lot of wrong-uns out there. And I think kids should actually be warned about some things. That's maybe a separate issue. On this particular one, this particular bloke, or this mixed person,
bloke.
Yeah, I hate to say, it looks to me like, you know, here I am going to make a right nuisance of myself, sack me, and then I'm going to take you to the IT.
The other thing, it sounds to me like it's their first job.
Oh, yeah.
Straight out of teacher training college.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
That's what it sounds like, because otherwise we'd have heard about it before.
It could be a TA.
The lady in our audience, like what would you like to come back on to what you've heard to your question?
Last national survey, only a very, very tiny percentage of people in this country regard themselves as gender fluid, gender identity, trans, whatever, LGBT. It's a very tiny percentage.
Yeah.
So why are we pandering to that at such a young age? When they're older, fine, they can make their own mind up.
Well, it's
but
fear,
don't
isn't
ruin
it?
their childhood.
It's fear, and I think there's a theme that's running through a lot of what's going on in politics at the moment. It has been for a little while, which is that there are certain labels that people don't want to have attached to themselves. So whether that's you're a transphobe, right, or you're a racist, or in the case of what Peter Kyle, which we're going to come on to, the technology minister has been trying to do recently, say that you're on the side of paedophiles and you're mates with Jimmy Savile if you oppose an online safety act. So there's these labels that are trying to kind of brick on people, and I think, you know, for a lot of times people who, say, had teachers at schools or parents have been seeing things going on that they didn't agree with, but they thought, we're going to have to go along with it because I don't want this label. I don't want everyone at the school gates, you know, excommunicating me because they think I'm some kind of monster.
Lots of councils had Stonewall doing education. They'd misread the Equality
They've been deliberately
Act.
doing it.
And this
Not round my way.
ruling recently has clarified that it has been a misreading of the law.
Yeah, OK, all right, well, that's enough for this section, I think. So we have got a lot more coming your way and some topics that I'm particularly excited.
You've been terrible with the autocue tonight, I have to say. You're not scrolling it on quickly enough.
I am struggling with this tonight. I need glasses, but I refuse to get them. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in.
50p.
I'm going to come across the channel on a boat and get them for free. But anyway, coming up. What's in a name, hey? So Mohammed has topped Britain's baby names list for the second year in a row. Well done, Mohammed, he's done the double. But what does this mean about the changing nature of Britain? Is there a point beyond the baby name? Stay tuned.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures, most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. A fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. As I say, with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into Northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back to Britain's #1 news channel. There we go, have a bit of that anyway. So this is Patrick Christys tonight, welcome along. Now, interesting topic this. So Mohammed has once again topped the list of baby boy names in England and Wales. That's right, for the 2nd year in a row, it's the most popular boy's name. Oh, OK, all right, hang on. Look at it, climbing the leaderboard, there we go. New data from the Home Office and National Statistics as well shows that Mohammed is leading in 4 out of the 9 English regions. Close behind were the names Noah, Oliver, Arthur and Leo. Now, on the girls' side, Olivia continues her reign. Well done, Olivia. 7 years straight for Olivia at #1. We got any Olivias in tonight? No, fair enough. Thought it was it sounded like there might be a decent chance, to be honest. But there we go. We've also got Amelia, Lily and Isla as the top girls' names. But in a country historically rooted in Christian values, should we be concerned about the idea that now Mohammed is the most popular baby boy's name? So, look, the thing is, OK, all right, people say it was just a name. I think there were actually 3 different variations of the spelling of Mohammed in the top 100. But, Gawain, you noticed something else in this baby name.
OK, the various varieties of Mohammed, it's significant, but you've got to remember, there are fewer names within the Muslim community than there are with the settled British community. We've got dozens of them. I'm called Gawain, for goodness sake. There aren't many of me.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is at the bottom of that 100, a new entrant is Yahya. And that's at just under 600 names. Boys have been called this name. That is the name of the killed leader of Hamas. To me, that is people naming their child Adolf just after the war. It is terrifying to me. Now, because names become popular because somebody is famous very often. Names that we haven't seen before arrive into this top chart because somebody is successful, somebody is famous. So when Liam became successful for a while because of the Gallagher brothers and things of this sort popped up and went back down again. But here you have the name of somebody who is explicitly wants to see the death of every Israeli.
That's a really interesting point.
I am terrified by that.
A chap came round to see me when I was at surgery. He said he wanted me to actually authenticate his application for a change of name. I said, "What's your name, Sam?" And he said, "Osama." And I said, "I can understand where you're coming from."
Well, so he shortened it to Sam. He shortened Osama to Sam.
He did. So he did.
You'd have to.
Hang on, you haven't had the killer. You had the killer. But his father went absolutely radio rental when he heard that. Absolutely furious about it. But the most interesting thing about this, one of my grandkids has just been born. It's called Arlo, and I'd never heard that name Arlo before. And yet the number of people called Arlo, it's amazing. However, the real thing here,
Arlo or Harlow?
No, Arlo. Can I just say? Nobody in this country, this great glorious realm of ours, last year decided to call their child Keir.
Hooray!
However, a large number of people decided the name Nigel.
Yeah.
What can you say?
I'm sorry, if you'd been called Nigel at my school, you had your head kicked in.
Why do you think he's...
But it is, I mean, coming back to Gawain's point and some of the points we've made here, I mean, more people in Britain called their child the same name as the former leader of Hamas than did about the Prime Minister of this country, which really is to me. There's a chap who wants to make a point, I believe. We've already heard from him. It's not Ali Mohammed who's done the double tonight. It's this guy. What would you like to say about this, sir?
Well, I just think it's a sad indictment into Britain today. I mean, it should have been John, James, Michael, anyone's name, but to have Mohammed, Stephen, anybody. By the way, my mate's dog's called Arlo, so they're a popular dog then.
I wonder where my boy got it from.
There you go. But the problem is, if you put your head above the power pit and say anything, you're labelled right-wing bigot. So most modern-day people just put their heads down and... just don't say a word because you know the leftists and the wokes are going to rip you to pieces.
Not here, they don't.
Well, no, that's sort of... But thank you very much, mate. So, but look, I think what you're touching on there is the wider point, isn't it, which is about both demographic and cultural change. And there are certain benefits as well, of course, to, that we've had from having people from all over the world here. There are certain benefits. However, not all cultural change is good, is it? And we've had things like, increased forced marriages, increased female genital mutilation. We are the Western capital for Sharia court now, which is absolutely insane. It's nuts, right? It's nuts, and it would indicate that trajectory is going to carry on. I would have thought.
Yeah, there are. I think, as Gawain said, there are fewer name options. It seems within Muslim families. Muslims generally have lots of children, marry quite early, like the Catholic community used to. They traditionally have larger families.
We're still trying,
but we have. My father was Catholic, but
I still am.
We have, good for you. But we have certainly. It says something about our sort of British variety of names are far more, but I think women are having children later and having fewer children.
But you know what they did in France? In France, you could not call your child any name that wasn't on this list of names, which is why you get a lot of French people, they put the name like Jean-Philippe and Marie-Claude, I think, because you could only name people on that list. And guess who was
always the same?
The only people on that list were Christian saints.
Oh, interesting. Well, there you go. Christo,
we can learn from the French.
Look, is it a lot of fuss about nothing, this baby name thing? We all get a bit hot under the collar for no reason, or is it important?
It depends on what it actually means, because it might be a bit like the Greek situation, because we're all called, Christos, Yannis, Panos. They're all Stavros. They're all called the same because we're all named after our grandfather, our paternal grandfather. If you're the eldest child, so if that's what it means, not such a concern. But if it is actually meaning that there is a rise in Islam in the UK, bearing in mind that we are a Christian country, and some of the stats do look like that is the case.
They do. Well, I was going to quote. So apparently, by 2050, Britain could be 17.2% Muslim, which would be a huge increase.
And it's then, what does that actually mean? Does that mean the rise in Islam, meaning the rise in people wearing the face veil, the rise in cousin marriage, the rise in the repression of women's rights, the rise in Sharia, the rise in the loss of free speech? Because, of course, let's talk about the guy in Tetley, who was the teacher who's still in hiding for making a point. So if that is going to be the consequence, and of course the rise of Islamic extremism, because Islamic extremism comes from the rise in Islam itself. And so if that is going to be the consequence, then I think it's absolutely fair and reasonable people have those concerns.
All right. Yeah. OK. All right, good stuff. Well, we are pressed for time, so I'm going to whiz ourselves on. And this is quite an interesting one, this. So does anyone here work from home? Yeah, but you work very hard, diligently. Someone else as well who works from home? There you go. All incredibly hard workers, so this, of course, will not apply to you.
My son's an electrician. What chance has he got?
New research...
Works at other people's homes.
Right, new research shows that people who work from home are clocking off early on Fridays, especially during the summer. And top businessmen predict that, apparently, we are on the cusp of having an official 4-day week in Britain. Now, I'm just going to ask a question. Is Britain becoming lazy and work-shy? Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel. Hey, all right. Good evening, everybody. I think we're all having far too much fun in here tonight, to be honest with you. It's got that kind of feeling like anything could happen and that thing might not be good. But anyway, we'll keep going. According to new research, remote workers are clocking off early on a Friday. 59% say that they don't feel any guilt about finishing early on a Friday. They even think that it helps them work harder for the rest of the week, which is a convenient thing to say, isn't it? This comes amid public sector productivity going down. That's according to the ONS. But that isn't stopping some councils trialling a 4-day week with no reduction in pay. And now there is an academic at Cambridge University who claims the 4-day week is the future. Well, of course they do. It's Professor Brendan Birchall has been studying the 4-day week pilot scheme in Cambridgeshire District Council for 2 years. Says that results show that improvements in staff recruitment and retention. Cost savings of around 400 grand a year and no loss of performance. I mean, come on. Are we getting lazier? Right, there's a gentleman with a microphone here. Go on, sir. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I'm a self-employed builder from Poole. Now, if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yep.
And I work long hours, hard, and I just feel no disrespect to anybody who works from home. Productivity gets the country going. And if you're working from home, then I feel, no one knows, you've got no accountability. For a start, you're not in an office environment where you can bounce ideas off people. And I just feel like for myself and millions like me who have to go to work because of my job, people who work from home, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's only since COVID that these ideas have come into play. And I want to get a country going. And I want us to get back to working hard, like I have to.
Yeah,
because
cool.
if I don't, I don't get paid. Yeah.
Well, good for you for a start.
But have you got any money on you? Because you're a self-employed builder, we should tax you to oblivion. Should we try and take as much as possible, please? I'm sorry.
Well, there's another thing about... There's a case in the paper 2 or 3 weeks about a geezer down in the West Country. He had 3 jobs. Nobody knew he had the 3 jobs because he was working from home, so he'd clock in at one, then the other, then the other.
I bet they were all public sector jobs.
Bizarrely, yes. They
were.
But I remember in the council, we used to track people down what they call Poets' Day. Do you know what Poets' Day is? So it's push off early, tomorrow's Saturday. And I say push off early, tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes.
And they all used to leave at lunchtime on Friday. It was outright. Now, my son's a Sparky, and he always makes the same point. It's how on earth can people like him possibly even consider? It's the same thing like, banning his van from central London. He says, I'm not going to carry all my kit over, through the tube station. And there's a real problem. I think your point, sir, is a very important point. We have one of the lowest productivity. Do you know Italy has a higher rate of productivity than we do?
Well, it's ridiculous. They take a nap in the middle of the day. That's
that's Spain.
Quickly, what did I say?
I just want to make one point. It's senior civil servants. I'm a civil servant, but I go in every day of the week. It's the senior civil servants. When we came out of COVID, who set that you only needed to be in 40% of the week, 2 days, and themselves 3 days. That's where it comes from.
Right. And what have you noticed, sir? Do you mind me asking, what have you noticed before COVID, when presumably basically everyone was in almost all the time, was it better, do you think, or not?
It was better before. People came into interaction, as the gentleman says there. That's what's needed. You discuss ideas.
Okay.
But now people don't come in, and even less. I see colleagues once every couple of months sometimes.
And it's the insular nature as well.
Yes,
it's like people, and also our wider economy about stopping and getting a coffee on the way to the tube or buying a paper. It's all that.
Totally different. I was self-employed as well, and absolutely, if you're not working, you're not being paid. And I think that attitude, I worked out, if I did a 4-day week, I'd have to add 25% to my costs Monday to Thursday to have Friday off. It's just not going to happen. And I think councils, I think it's a Lib Dem council.
But certainly
we know productivity since the pandemic, it's down still since pre-COVID. Obviously, it's not...
Go on, this country needs a rocket, doesn't it? It doesn't need
one positive thing for you, sir. When AI comes, it ain't going to be your job that's gone.
That's true.
It's going to be their jobs that go.
That's true.
And so you're OK there because of your work ethic, but because of things of that sort, and because of the fact you work with your hands, you're out there doing things. Whereas I work from home. You
could replace it with AI tonight.
I know, probably, but it'd be more effective.
Patrick,
but they wouldn't get the tie right.
I'm occasionally an admirer of Jacob Rees-Mogg. I mean, we don't agree politically. However... However, Jacob Rees-Mogg was briefly a very senior member of the previous Conservative cabinet. And what he did was he had these little cards printed up. Said, I was here, where were you?
Yeah.
And he used to go around the Cabinet Office. Now, I was in the Cabinet Office for years, and believe you me, the place was absolutely deserted most of the time. You know, it's like anyway, but the point, he left these cards. And his point was very similar to the point that you made. So I think you may have been speaking to Jacob Rees-Mogg, because the point is not just about swapping ideas, it's about swapping improvement in working practices. And it's also about making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, it's what the Americans, they call the water cooler thing.
And Jacob got it in the neck when he did that post-it
I was about to say,
and desks.
Today we have more people working in the civil service than at any single time in the history of this nation.
We have less people working in the civil service. We have more people employed by the civil service.
Can I just say, I don't often quote Margaret Thatcher, but you remember that famous time Margaret Thatcher was coming down Whitehall and she said today, how many people work in the civil service? And he said, about half of them.
OK, all right, we're going to have to go. But look, the thing this country needs is more people like yourself, sir, more people who are working, more people like you, sir, who are in the civil service, turning up to work every day. That's what we need. We don't need people who are trying to do these absolutely ridiculous studies from Cambridge University saying, actually, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if you don't turn up to work. Well, I'm sorry, that probably implies that you're quite crappy at your job. But, there you go. Right, so in the next hour, we've got loads. Well, look, I'll tell you what, I think this is a story that we all care about, isn't it? It turns out that the government has secretly been spying on your social media posts, if those things are about two-tier policing and immigration, and trying to lean on social media companies to try to get that taken down. It's like the Stasi. It's very, very sinister, and we're going to be talking about that, and I can't wait to get your views in an uncensored fashion when we come back. Stay tuned.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures. Most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that breeze could bring one or two showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. A fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of one or two very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. Let's say with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into Northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. for a chance to win. Text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Thank you very, very much, and welcome to my live studio audience. Great to have you here. We've had people coming from all over the world, but this week I think we might have found the furthest travel ever, but I'm going to reveal all shortly on tonight's show.
And it firmly places Nigel Farage on the side of predators and paedophiles and not on the side of keeping children safe.
It's our children. But when do you say, oh, yeah, OK, your kids don't matter then? Of course they matter.
You know what? That guy's an absolute plonker, isn't he? Yeah. Absolute plonker. The government has been trying to silence social media posts about immigration. Plus...
So what's happened to that David Cameron who called it on?
I was wondering, how do I identify the working class in a clip, right? I just thought, Danny Dyer, that'll do. Anyway, the civil service will only accept working class interns next year. Is this a good thing, or is it another form of discrimination? And... we've already spoken about the topic, we just kept it in because it's a funny clip, so there you go. People at work from home apparently finish at 3 p.m. on a Friday. And, OK, I want to know, feel the room here, feel the room. Who would be in favour of the nurses if they went on strike? Yeah! Oh, it's going to split people up. It's going to split people up. I can't wait to talk about it because it looks as though nurses are going to go on strike. On my panel tonight, we've got former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson. Former Labour MP Stephen Pound. Broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. And former Reform UK spokesman Gawain Towler. All right, now get ready, Britain. Here we go. Welcome along to Britain's #1 news channel. Yes, there you are. But anyway. Oh gosh, didn't realise he was looming over me like that. Well, in a way, that is what he's doing, isn't it? Actually, so Britain feels a bit like a dictatorship led by Sir Keir Starmer's Stasi. The government set up a special monitoring unit. What people say about illegal immigration, two-tier policing, and then reported that to social media companies like TikTok. So in short, really, they have been spying on you, and they're trying to silence you for speaking out. Now, during the summer disorder, Sir Keir Starmer did try to silence people by basically calling everyone a racist.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery. Calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
He put huge pressure on judges to lock people up for a long time, like Lucy Connolly, who received a longer prison sentence than some people involved in the Pakistani rape scandal.
400 people now have been arrested, 100 have been charged, some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in court. And I'm now expecting substantive sentencing before the end of this week. That should send a very powerful message to anybody involved, either directly or online.
We have had police knocking on people's doors for writing a Facebook post about local councillors.
Is it Helen? Helen from the police.
And now it's emerged that a secret department called the National Security and Online Information Team has been looking at posts about migrant hotels and immigration and been trying to get them censored. One post that they flagged showed a picture of a street in Manchester with the caption, "That looks more like Islamabad than Manchester." Well, you know, there is a place in Manchester literally called the Curry Mile, which has its own Wikipedia page, everything. But apparently that post could have, quote, incited fear into the Muslim community. And they reported that to social media to try and get it taken down. I think this is very sinister. And the man responsible for the department that's been doing it is Peter Kyle. You don't want to mispronounce that name. It's Peter Kyle. He's currently accused of trying to censor everyone with the Online Safety Act. And he's trying to silence anyone who disagrees with that act by saying they are on the side of paedophiles.
I see that Nigel Farage is already saying that he's going to overturn these laws. If people like Jimmy Savile were alive today, he'd be perpetrating his crimes online. And Nigel Farage is saying that he's on their side.
Actually, so far, the Act has blocked articles about immigration. It even blocked an article that had a funny picture of Sir Keir Starmer as a baby, which is on the screens there in front of you. That was blocked by the Online Safety Act. You were not allowed to see that. It's mental. Look, we all know why they're doing this, don't we? They're going to keep busing in illegal migrants. They're going to keep up with the rate of demographic change. They're going to keep telling you that you need to pay more tax. And they worry that the British public is finally waking up and fighting back. And they can't let that happen. Well, tough. OK, so let's crack on. Now, I want to go... Who do I go to first? Gawain, I'll go to you first on this, my good man. What do you make of this, the fact that basically the government's been spying on us and trying to hide it?
Well, the funniest thing I think I saw over the last day or two about this was the Labour Minister, I think Diane Johnston, who on GB News said, there's absolutely none of this, it's not happening at all, it's not happening at all, but we do agree with the police should be doing it. It's not happening, but we should be doing it. Literally, the next sentence. The cognitive dissonance amongst this crowd is astonishing. And the fact is, yes, they are. This was a unit that was set up to put pressure on people over COVID. It went into a little bit of mothball and it's been brought back to put pressure on people just using their eyes.
Christys?
It's awful.
It's not cognitive dissonance, it's incredibly low intelligence is what it is. Because I'm sorry, these people... I'm really angry about this. I'm really angry, right, that we have this ridiculous culture of safetyism. Oh, you might hear an opinion you don't like. Oh, my God, you'll shatter. Something terrible will happen if you hear something. Oh, it'll incite some sort of terrible violence. You poor things. Well, firstly, you know, we're able to hear opinions we don't like. And do you know how we know we're able to hear opinions we don't like? Because anyone who disagrees has just been called a paedophile. That's how we know we hear opinions we don't like. And the thing that annoys me about that is that I genuinely, and I said this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again, I'm so worried about where debate is going in this country and the extremes that people are going to when it comes to debate. You know, you're either pro or anti, you are left or right. There's no middle ground. And I think online that happens an awful lot. And the way you solve problems is to have reasonable conversations and middle ground, and you try and agree. And so for this idiot minister, Peter Kyle, to call everyone paedophiles, I mean, that's the kind of extremist language you get from the far right, just the opposite. And so he's an idiot, he's a moron, these people are stupid. And that other one, I'm sorry.
He's also not here to defend himself, so, you know...
Absolutely awful. What was her name? She sounds like a low-budget airline. Tangham Debonair. Did you see her?
Tangham Debonair.
Like this, we're in the conversation, sort of down her nose at people who disagree with her. These people are awful. And they are destroying conversation and debate and free speech. They are for the dustbin.
Just before I come to Jane, do people in this room, do you feel as though your free speech is more under threat than it's been in the past? Is that a genuine thing?
Yeah.
People do, yeah. People are worried about it. You know, think it's a little bit excessive from the government. It's a very good thing. I'll get the microphone to you in a second. However, I want to go to this chap on the front row first. Hello. What would you like to say? I hope you're all right as well.
I'd like to ask the question: can the panel explain really how the national security resources have been used to monitor public opinion online? We're very familiar with the whole two-tier policing. I mean, as a sitting councillor in Basildon Borough Council, my data was breached internally just last week. And when I tried to report this to Gary Jones, the chief executive of Basildon Borough Council, I was escorted out of the building. Now, something like this, okay, which is incredible to be honest, it's why is it okay for Labour and the sitting government to be able to stop this sort of information going out, and why for sitting councillors maybe of Reform UK to have it on the opposite side?
Well, look, I'll go just again to say, it's not that I disbelieve you at all, obviously, but there are certain people that have been named there who we've not had the opportunity to go to a right of reply for. We don't know what they would say to it, so there we go. But fair enough. I think the overall point there is one that's worth discussion. You know, does it feel as though people are being censored here, basically?
Absolutely, and I think those people on the right, if they came to my house, they'd find a lot of Brexity things. You remember the police were looking for Brexity things. They'd also, if they looked at my social media, find a lot of questioning about levels of immigration, about the right to asylum. There's a lot of things, I say, that would fall under this. Two-tier is one of the terms that they're looking for. I think Labour knows that they have completely lost all hope of controlling small boats, and they are anticipating the public anger becoming worse and worse and worse. And this is part of their attempt to keep a lid on public anger, and it won't succeed.
OK. All right, fair enough then, fair enough. OK. All right, look, there's some of the more sinister aspects to this for me were, again, you know, this idea that they were going to say they clamped down on you if you dared to mention two-tier policing. But then this is a weird thing in itself, isn't it? Like, if you mention two-tier policing, that's so bad that they then have to employ a secret spy unit to find what you're saying and then report you to social media. What is it about this Labour government that hates free speech, Stephen?
Patrick, let's get a couple of things straight. It can't be that secret if everybody knows about it. But the other thing...
It came out in a leak.
Hang on a second. I don't know whether you used to get the special branch briefings, but I mean, there's a unit in GCHQ that's been monitoring the People's Mail for about 50 years, looking for words like Islam and bombing and, you know, jihad and things like that.
Yeah.
And fair play to it. I think I'm quite.
Not things like two-tier.
Not words like two-tier. Well, no, hang on a second. But let's get to this actual thing that what we're actually talking about at the present. I think the online safety bill is a very sensible piece of legislation that could be misused in some particular ways, as in the case of Katie Lamb, the MP who was quoted in the House of Commons. But the most important thing here is that I think the Conservatives and the Labour Party have both made a terrible mistake about playing the man and not the ball. The Conservatives attacked Keir Starmer when he was Director of Public Prosecutions, saying that he didn't prosecute Jimmy Savile. We'd never had the opportunity to
Yes, he did.
Hold on, he did. And he apologised. And Nigel Farage is most certainly not on the side of the late Jimmy Jimmy Savile. No question.
I do have to correct the record. I'm sorry, I do have to correct the record. There was a year when Sir Keir Starmer was both head of the DPP and head of the CPS, whilst Jimmy Savile was being investigated, and Sir Keir Starmer claims that that case did not come across his desk. I find that very, very hard to believe. A lot of people find it hard to believe. However, there we go.
If he was the most famous man in Britain, if something landed on your office desk with a celebrity...
All right, let's go to this lady in the audience here. Can you stand up for me, please? Is that all right? Sorry, thank you very much. Just to go on, drag us back kicking and screaming to the actual original topic here, which is basically being spied on, aren't we?
We've had a classic example of it this week where law-abiding, peaceful demonstrations in Epping were accused of being far-right. I've never heard anything so ridiculous. You know, these were... These were women, grandmothers, mothers like me, who were worried about the safety of their girls, their daughters, their granddaughters. And to call them far right was despicable.
I'll tell you what, the lady there is proving more popular than me, actually, I think, at the minute. We might have to get you... Have her removed.
Come and take the seat.
We might have to get you on the panel at some point, but that's a great point. And Christy, we've got this culture of trying to silence people by calling them ridiculous names, and then you get called a conspiracy theorist, don't you? This is a conspiracy that's turned out to be true. And
it's just it's now gone into overdrive. It used to be we'll shut you down by calling you a racist. It used to be we'll shut you down by calling you a sexist, a homophobe, a transphobe. Now you're far right. Now you're a paedophile. Like, when is this going to end? Because it's just going to. What's so stupid is that it's just actually going to drive people to the very extremes that they claim they don't want people to go to. Because they're going to be driven to people who actually are saying what is being unsaid, who perhaps have bad intention, because genuine debate is being stifled.
But should Peter Carl not resign over this? I mean, he's made an absolute horlicks of this Online Safety Act. He's basically mugged himself off by parroting a Number 10 line that Nigel Farage on the side of paedophiles.
Which Number 10 knew about.
Which they told him to do. And then now you've got. It turns out his department has been talking about has been spying on us and doing all of that.
You're absolutely right. Stupid. Just stupid. And the fact that Number 10 pulled the Jimmy Savile line and pushed the Jimmy Savile line is astonishing, because it allowed people then to pick up on Starmer's behaviour. But one basic thing. And you were talking about saying the online safety bill, it's a good thing and all the rest of it. Maybe we all care about what about the children? But that term, won't somebody think about the children, is used for almost every single destruction of our civil liberties. Oh, somebody's got to think about the children. I have a friend who sent me this morning. They were actually thinking about the children because they went onto the Maltesers website to buy some Maltesers. They had to age verify to go and look at Maltesers on the bloody internet.
Look,
it's mad.
They probably thought it was teasers. They probably some dodgy.
No, it was definitely Maltesers. Multi-goodness.
I'm sorry, but I cannot stand it when someone like Peter Carl comes out and says, think about the kids. Labour weren't thinking about the kids when they didn't want a national inquiry into the Pakistani rape gang. Labour are not thinking about the children when we are importing sometimes 900 or 1,000 men across the channel every single day and putting them in hotels next to primary schools. You know, how dare that guy stand up and start going, oh, please protect the kids. You're on the side of paedophiles. I'm sorry, some of the Labour policies appear to me to be very much on the side of some very dodgy people.
And what do you said about Nigel
Farage? You can't mean that.
But do you remember when Boris in the House of Commons mentioned Jimmy Savile to Keir Starmer, and everyone went absolutely ballistic? Peter Carl is not getting the same level of...
Of course he's not, because he's on the left.
It's outrageous. And also, by the way, none of those Epping protests were taking place when the hotel was full of families. It was when the hotel was going to be taken over by solely men. So what, did these people suddenly wake up and go, oh, I'm far right now, I don't like men? Of course not.
I'm thinking about I think the difference is, it is who said it. Peter Carl said it, he's Labour. And anyhow, it's also the victim, to a certain extent. I wouldn't say Farage is a victim, because it's not the way he is. He just doesn't do victim. However, oh, well, it's Farage. it's OK to insult Farage because he's on the right.
Yeah.
It's not just who said it, it's who they said it to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there are certain things that were considered beyond the pale. And what a lot of people on the left used to do was clutch their pearls whenever anyone like Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage said something. But number 10, so this week, just think about this, it's been revealed that the government was spying on your tweets and trying to get them taken down, right, with a secret department. And number 10 sanctioned an attack line on Nigel Farage, essentially calling him a paedophile, right? That's the level of discourse that we've got to now. Just quickly and finally, Stephen, just on this, do they have to hang their heads in shame in it? So what do they have to do? I mean, they've got to stop. The trust has gone, hasn't it, now, between us and the government, surely?
Well, I think, to be honest, the trust has gone between politicians and the public. It's pretty far gone down the line. It's going to take a long time for us to row back to... I can't remember. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, doctors and priests and politicians were looked up. MP used to stand for man of principle. You know, it's a big issue. It's beyond the Labour Party. But on this particular one, I think Peter Kyle... I've known Peter Kyle. He's fundamentally a decent bloke. I think he's made an absolute rick of it here. And I think he needs to actually put his hand up and admit it.
Well, that's all that Farage asked for, was an apology. He didn't ask for legal stuff.
Fair enough.
Just an apology.
OK, well, we're gonna crack on. Who in this audience would describe themselves as working class? Yeah, fair few people describe themselves as working class. Good stuff. There you go. Yeah, that's someone there. Someone at work. You know, it's all right. Don't worry.
Working from studio.
So yeah, well, the reason I ask is because there's a topic that I think has got your names written all over it when we come back. But before that, it's of course the time for the latest Great British giveaway. Yay! And it's your chance to basically, as far as I can understand it, have your mortgage paid for. Here's how.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. It really is your chance to chill out and enjoy the coming year on us. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up next, the Civil Service has launched an internship scheme that is only for working class applicants. But what does that really mean? And, yeah, I mean, I just don't quite understand whether or not this is discrimination or whether or not this is a good thing. We're going to be talking about that, and I'm quite keen to see who is on the side of striking nurses, so stay tuned.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Patrick Christys tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
Are the Prince and Princess of Wales animal abusers? It's time now for the head-to-head. Well, Peter's at it again, this time aiming at the Prince and Princess of Wales for daring to breed their Cocker Spaniels. The animal rights activists say that the royal couple are, quote, out of touch and slam them for churning out a litter while rescue centres are overflowing. It comes after Kensington Palace released a photo of Prince William and dog Orla and her 3 puppies, snapped by Kate for his 43rd birthday. So, is it really cruel? Are the royals cruel for breeding their dogs? Well, going head-to-head on this now, I'm pleased to be joined by Senior Corporate Projects Manager at Peter, Dr Caris Bennett, and dog trainer John Allison.
There's all these dogs that are desperately needing a home. Why breed more dogs into the world
It sends the wrong message. And in fact, you don't have to look far to see the right message. King Charles and Camilla adopted Molly, a lovely dog from an animal rescue. And we encourage everyone to do the same. If you're looking to have a companion animal at home, please go to an animal rescue, never breed dogs.
It's very important to note that it's natural for dogs to breed and create their puppies. I think it's absolutely ludicrous to label the royal family irresponsible. We just have to look at their incredible record of animal welfare and how much they have done for animal welfare throughout the country. Unlike an organisation like PETA, who only recently contributed to dogs being put in rescue centres when they supported the banning of the XL bully.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
And welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with my live studio audience. Just before we do the next topic, I would like to say thank you very much to everybody who's travelled far and wide to be here. We've got some people in from Devon, which is good. We've had some people in from Newcastle, which is brilliant. But we have a winner, and they've come all the way from New Zealand in order to be here. So they're at the back. Can we get them at the back? Is it possible to get them at the back? Anyone? Go on, wave. Give us a wave. Brilliant. Brilliant. Go on, Christys.
Also, there's a couple at the back who are getting married next month in Southend.
Well, if I get ordained, can I be your whatever it's called, vicar?
Celebrant.
No, it's a hard no.
Celebrant.
No, right, fair enough. Well, there we are. I was just thinking about a potential for a new GB News show.
You can be the best boy if you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thank you very much for coming such a long way. It's going to take some beating, that. So well done. Let's
Christos can be the bridesmaid.
crack on with the topic. So the government is launching a new civil service internship scheme, but it's only open to working class students.
Here, define working class.
No, working class is families that work for their living, earn their money through going out to work every day, not through other means.
Middle classes do that?
Right, there we go. We're just having quite a big discussion in the studio about whether or not Sir Keir Starmer is actually working class, and I don't think he really is. Although, to be fair, his dad definitely was a toolmaker. But anyway, to supposedly they want to make Whitehall better reflect the country. This is why they're doing this working class internship thing. They say it's going to be people from lower income backgrounds. Applicants can be judged based on what jobs their parents had when they were 14. Replacing an older scheme which was open to everyone. All right, now we've spoken a lot in the past, haven't we, about jobs you can only apply for if you're not white or whatever. This is different, isn't it? There is a gentleman here. If only we had someone in the studio now who worked in the civil service. Oh, if only we had someone. Sir, what would you like to say about this scheme? Go on.
Good evening, panel again. I think even though I'm working class, it should be based on merit rather than class. And I'd just like to have one quick point on that. It probably varies department to department. I'd like to see more, perhaps, working class in the Foreign Office, but also this government's mantra is growth, growth, growth. So let's recruit more people who know about business and things like that.
Let's recruit more people, so you want more skilled through. Just interesting, in the civil service, mate, how many people are there who think like you?
3.
I would like to say I'm retiring soon, so I don't want to lose my job.
One person. I don't think we'd have a problem, would we, if everyone was like this bloke in the civil service? I think you're all right. Right, go away. Is this class warfare?
No, it's not. It's just silly. I seem to recall Kemi herself said that she was working class because she'd worked doing a summer job working at McDonald's, which makes me working class because I've worked in restaurants and McDonald's and places like that with myself. It's rubbish, isn't it? I'm clearly not working class, but it doesn't. I hardly work, for goodness' sake. But the point is that merit has to be the only thing that matters. Because basically, the people who work in the civil service, say the DWP, they're there to provide a service to you. We need the very best people who wish to work in the public... And many people in the public sector, actually do want to do the job properly and to do it well. But right now, when you have this, it's got to be this quota, this, that, the other. And now this one, it's not about delivering services. It's about delivering stuff for themselves. And there are hundreds of thousands of civil servants who actually want to provide the services that they are paid to provide. Because you know what? They've got parents who might need support. They've got children who might need support. They want to make the system work. And this sort of scheme ruins it.
OK, fair enough. Go on, Jane, your views on this.
You do get a lot of people in Whitehall that speak like they've been on Made in Chelsea Series 1 to 5. So, in some senses...
What happened in Series 6?
I don't know.
They moved it to...
They went to Towie then. They went from Made in Chelsea to Towie.
I can see where the idea came from, even though, as usual, Labour have made a hash of actually delivering it. But I'm a grammar school girl. I think grammar schools, which Labour opposed, were one of the great sort of levelling up things. I'm Wolverhampton. We got the first ministry for levelling up outside London. Good civil service jobs for ordinary people in Wolverhampton. I absolutely back that. So take ministries to somewhere else. But this test is slightly absurd, and it will breed resentment.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's this. If we've got a Prime Minister who can't even tell you what working class is, how can we open an internship only for people who are working class?
And also, it's based on what your parents were doing when you were 14.
Apparently,
which can have changed.
So what if your parents own... What if your parents were a builder when you were 14 and were doing a trade like that? That is probably a working class trade, but you are a business owner, so does that mean your children aren't working class?
Does the landed gentry put down unemployed?
Yeah, and then... So, look, but having said that, I don't love it. However, we have got a problem in this country, and I think the problem in this country is more concerning class than it is to do with race or sexual orientation or any of those things that hold you back. I do think working class white boys, especially, are being held back and aren't getting opportunities that they need. So I don't love it, but I'm not furious about it, because I think this is better than nothing, which is what a lot of working-class white boys get at the moment.
But reading into it, they seem to have this issue. It's working-class people at university don't go into civil service jobs. It's not the people at school. It's not encouraging them to step up. They're actually they've decided to go to working class, so it's working class kids who went to university. So it's not quite...
I do wonder, by the way, can I just say one thing, Stephen, sorry, before I come in, but there's a lot of people out there, I know, working class, who have got very sound views. And I wonder what's going to happen in the civil service when someone comes in who's, comes from a long line of market traders and thinks, like a lot of people, I dare say, in this room do, and then they're confronted by their first pronouns class in the civil service, and then they think, what we're going to go...
So you're trying to get a new job for Greg Wallace, one?
Yeah, well, he is free. Greg is free at the moment.
Well, look, hang on a second. I'm more concerned about defining the shirking class and the working class. That's a real problem. However, look, there's a couple of things. When you actually go to the civil service, you actually work with the civil service, one of the first things you find out is take the ones who went to Oxford and Cambridge out, and there's only 3 people left in the room. There's still a fantastic prejudice. And at the moment, 5% of the people in this country they go to public school.
That's a positive thing.
Okay. But hang on a second. It cannot be healthy for the nation if we concentrate on academic achievement and we ignore vocational treatment. As far as I'm concerned, someone like my boy, as I mentioned 15 times already today, is a Sparky, and I've got his card here if anybody wants it. I value that just as much as my economics degree, which I did when I was 32 years old, as when I came out of the Navy. So, that's the problem. We don't actually credit and value those people who do the vocational training. But look, the government did try, and this is the previous government tried this, they opened open selection to the civil service. When it used to be done, the civil service had a thing called the milk round, where they went round to the top universities, the Russell Group universities, LSE, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, and they recruited recruited solely from there. Then they set up this thing called the Alencon Link down in Basingstoke, where anybody can apply, and it hasn't worked. It is still ridiculously top-heavy with public school kids. Now, some public school kids, bright as a button. I mean, I consider myself upper, lower, middle class, personally. But the reality is, what are you going to do? And I think, sir, your point is when you take over as chief officer to the chief secretary to the ministry, the idea of recruiting on merit, but how do we get people into the room for the interview?
Yeah,
because people need to give them the confidence.
Can I just say one thing? Is it not in a way another disincentive to not to do well, but it's like if it's based singularly on income that your parents did, right? Then if you are a parent and you are working class, but then you work hard, you might get a bit lucky, and you end up running a company that does very, very well. Then your children come from a long line of working class people, but they might have had a decent enough start in life, and then your children are going to be penalised because they're going to be down the pecking order to get into university. They're going to be down the pecking order to get into a job in the civil service. It just seems a little bit perverse, doesn't it? Should we not be encouraging people to do that?
That is actually my dad's story completely. My dad was an immigrant, came to the UK, didn't actually have many qualifications, but then under Thatcher started his own business, and then my mum did too, and then they ended up comfortable, not rolling in it, but by that metric, I would not be
too privileged to work in the.
I'd be too privileged to work in the. Well, probably too smart.
So how do we make the civil service look like this room today? That's the answer. How do we do that?
Open offices.
Well,
we've
done it.
Well, we could kick the door in.
You talk about you want to see more sparks.
Yeah.
But if you're the chief secretary of the Treasury, and you turn up there and you go there to your civil servant and say, OK, so but I can fix a plug. No, you do need people who have done their economics degree at Oxford.
Okay.
In certain places.
We're going to have to go because I do want to leave enough time for this topic, because I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what the room makes of it. Junior doctors have now gone on strike, obviously, and now the nurses are threatening to go on strike. Probably GPs are talking about going on strike, although, to be fair, I thought they'd been on strike for the best part of 3 years, I think. But anyway, do the nurses deserve a bit more sympathy? Where are we when it comes to a nurses' strike? Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy, into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures, most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. A fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. Let's say with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night. making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Thank you very much, everybody, to our live studio audience. Now, look, I wanted to do something a little bit different. As you know, we don't like to go on about it, but we are now the nation's #1 news channel. Yeah, get it. So, in order to say thank you, we have got a very special surprise for some people in this room. Now, some people may know that it was a £145 million jackpot in the Euro Millions this evening. So, if everyone could just take a little look under their seats, please. There might be something for you under your seats. Everyone goes, hopefully, some of you. There should be 3 lottery tickets. There should be 3. I don't know, has anyone got one yet? No? Hope they're not stuck in it. Oh, we got one in the back, good. Yes, there we are. OK, anyone else? There should be 3. Yes, another one there. One more, well, it's 1 away. Someone's missing it. Where is it? Keep looking, keep looking. Someone... Ladies are key. You've got one. You've got your own. All right, well, there is a 3rd one somewhere, so people better find it, but... Oh, it's absolute carnage in here now, isn't it? There we go. What have we done? All right. Well, I tell you what. Of the two people who found them, we're going to check the winning numbers now because the winning numbers have been drawn. So you never know. We might get £1 million. Before we do, can I have £1 million? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the numbers are. Who's got them? Who's got them? There you are. The numbers are 4, 16, 25, 29, 30, 2 and 10. On the off chance that someone has won, have you won? If you won, please say yes. That'd be amazing. No? No, you've not. All right. Well, there we go. Sadly predictable. Sorry about that. We raised your hopes for a second just to dash them, didn't we? But there we are. You never know. But now it allows me to say that if you do bother to come to Patrick Christys tonight on a Friday night, there's a slim chance you will leave with £150 million, which is more than you can say. You don't get that on Newsnight, do you? Anyway, right. So, talking to people who are after a few quid, the nurses and junior doctors. There's a 5-day strike that ended earlier this week, didn't it? I think we've got a clip.
You're doing everything we can to minimise the risk to patients and to minimise the disruption. But I want to be honest with people. What we can't do is eliminate disruption or risk to patients.
But this could be the start of further disruption because 9 in 10 nurses have rejected a 3.6% pay rise. They're threatening to strike again. The Royal College of Nursing is warning about strike action. They say that basically they're not paid enough, obviously, which is why they want to strike. But the Department of Health insists that new full-time nurses will now earn £30,000 a year. It says it's disappointing that they've turned it down. OK, so there's a lady on the front row here who's got a special interest in this story, haven't you? So where are you on the nurses issue, then?
I get why they want to strike. You know, I'm a student nurse.
Yep.
I'm in my final year, and we don't get paid much at all, as well as we put a lot of work in. The doctors come and go. It's all down. Wards are run by nurses. So I do feel that they should strike for a bit more you know, doctors last year got, what, 20?
Yeah, I mean, that's the annoying thing. I know, what I will say about this,
Yeah.
I think the stats show when you do opinion polls, people have more sympathy for nurses than they do for doctors. The problem is, of course, that the junior doctors went out on strike, caused horrific backlogs of cases and affected people, and then got what they wanted, and now they're out on strike again. And I wonder if they've shafted the nurses, if that makes sense. But go on, Gawain, where are you on this?
I don't, partially because of what happened with the doctors. I think there's a sort of paying the Danegeld aspect to this. If you saw what happened with the welfare legislation go through the House, this government is clearly up for being beaten up. It doesn't have a spine. It's not capable of standing and saying no. And so I suspect they'll win. But then you've got to think they've just hit everybody with increased employers' NIC. So not only will they get a pay rise because they will force it through the government, but then the taxpayer will have to pay even more. Because remember, I'm sorry, but it's taxpayers' money, this. Yeah. And so the NHS will be hit by more national insurance contributions and things of this sort. And so in the end, as was said earlier, we're falling off an economic cliff. This country is falling off a cliff. How much can we continue to do these pay rises? I'm sorry.
So Kemi Badenoch said that she wanted to ban strike action in the NHS. Would people be in favour of NHS workers being banned from striking? Yeah. Quite a lot of people would. If there's anyone who's nodding their head there who's not spoken tonight, who would like the microphone, maybe someone will just grab it, because I'm just keen to hear your points of view. But go on, Christo, where are you?
I just want to ask you, do you have debt from when you're a student nurse? Are you paying for your tuition?
Of course I do.
You don't have the bursary
You know,
anymore, do you?
it's... Then... Well, you're looking at about near enough, just under 50.
That is the way you solve the problem. Why don't we give scholarships to the people who are living
We did.
We did.
No, and Osborne got rid of them.
We don't anymore. And
George Osborne got rid of them.
That is the way to solve the recruitment crisis of British people within the NHS, but it also is the way of saying, right, well, sorry, you're not going to earn as much as you would in other jobs when you start off your training, as you would in other degrees, but you're not going to be saddled with loads of debt. It's absurd to me that we wonder why people don't want to go into the health service.
This is it, Joe. We've given ridiculous pay rises, in my view anyway, to like train drivers and resident doctors who are now going out for more, when actually one thing we could have done was actually give that level of pay rise to a nurse.
Yes, and I think people do naturally have a lot more sympathy for nurses. Junior doctors, you don't stay a junior doctor. You're a junior doctor and your career progression is quite quick. And once you start moving up through the ranks, you have a really well-paid job and a very, very good pension. So I think people's sympathy is more limited for the doctors. Nurses are never going to earn what doctors
I think they try, yeah. Remember
but I think this is Labour always. You come in, you throw money at anyone that sort of makes a noise, the unions, and then this is what happens. It's never enough.
But she's asking, we do throw money at you. You could do it. Look, the reality is, nursing, the thing called Project 2000 came in. Up until the year 2000, nursing, there was different degrees. You came in as an SEN or an SRN. And the idea was a lot of working class men, mostly women, few men, went and state-enrolled nurses. It was an accident. If you wanted to become an SRN or go on and do an RGN or anything, you could do that. But Project 2000 made it an academic thing rather than a vocational. I mean, nurses wear those hats because they used to be dusting the beds, and the dust would fall. That's why they wore those stupid hats. It's not because they wanted to look like nuns. So the problem is we've mystified nursing into a completely different thing. It is actually a service, and it's not something which is simply that young girls go to a couple of years before they marry doctors. But the reality is there's no way that Wes Streeting can give the nurses, give the doctors a pay rise. That ain't going to happen.
I just think it must be a terrifying place to be in your head, Stephen. Sometimes it's remarkable, isn't it? But there we go, firing in a million different directions all at once. Yeah, look, remarkable stuff. OK, well, when we come back, it's time for a lot of people's highlight of the show. It's going to be Greatest Britain Union Jackass. So stay tuned.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Rafe, I'm assuming the notion of dropping Winnie to replace him with a tranny fills you full of repulsion.
Yes, I personally, as a Churchill historian, would love Churchill to be on the notes permanently. But yes, this is just part of this continuing war on our history that we often discuss on this channel. It's a long war, and it's just basically another attempt to gradually, or not so gradually actually, erase or rewrite our history. And, you know, the imagery on banknotes, on our passports, and, you know, the coins and stamps and all those sorts of things, they've traditionally always served to inspire pride in the nation. And those are really powerful symbols of our sovereignty and our identity. And it speaks a lot to, of course, to the changing fads and this desire we now see by our institutions, including the Bank of England, to create a new British identity, which is completely severed from the past.
I wonder, Rafe, we've had this conversation before. I wonder if a lot of this now is starting to feel a bit deliberate. Like, they know that Winston Churchill is worshipped and adored as one of the greatest ever Brits. They know we cherish the Union flag. They know we cherish our national anthems. Is that specifically why you think they're targeted?
That's precisely why it's being targeted. It's just that's what this is all about. You know, the Bank of England is just part of this long march through the institution. The Bank of England, remember, in its new Bank of England Museum, well, it has a permanent exhibition on slavery. And we need to understand that the elites who control our institutions bear no comparison to the generations that occupied those institutions. They're cuckoos in the nest. They're embarrassed by Britain's history and its historical figures. And what these people used to understand love of nation, and they've replaced that with national self-loathing.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel. Well, thank you very much, everybody who has made the journey here. I hope you've all had as much fun as I have. It's been a fantastic evening, but it's not over yet, because we need to do Greatest Britain, Union Jackass, and that needs all of your participation in this room. So I will start with you, Stephen. Who's your Greatest Britain of the week, please?
Some of you may not have heard of Lee Fortis. Lee Fortis is about 6'4". He wears a big pair of boots, and he is the groundsman down at the Oval. And he was preparing the pitch, a good, honest, decent, working-class job, getting the pitch ready for the Test match against India on Wednesday. Gautier Gambier, this little Indian coach, comes up and says, "You're just the groundsman. Don't you talk to me. I'm the head coach of the Indian cricket team." Because the Indian team were dragging their trolleys across the pitch, across the wicket. And at the Oval, they've got to play about 20 more games, including some of that bish-bash nonsense, you know, but also a few. So, as far as I'm concerned, he towered over Gautier Gambier, and he said, "Listen, I'm the curator here. You are nothing. As far as I'm concerned, stick to your side of the pitch. I'll stick to mine." Greatest Britain, working class.
Go on then, who's your Greatest Britain?
My Greatest Britain, and it's very sadly a posthumous one, is Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, yeah.
And the love, I think we all watched as the hearse pulled up by the Black Sabbath Bridge in Birmingham. To think he was only on stage at Villa Park 2 weeks before he died. What a magnificent way to go, but he will never be forgotten. We have got our bull in New Street Station, the mechanical bull from the Commonwealth Games ceremony. Public vote, call it Ozzy. So you can go and see Ozzy the bull. There he is. Magnificent.
All right, well done. Kristen, who's your Greatest Britain, please?
Yeah,
and there's not a back to be seen.
No.
It's an honorary Greatest Britain. It's Donald Trump. That is for him very, very accurately describing London Mayor Sadiq Khan as a terrible mayor and a nasty little man.
Okay, go on, Gawain.
All right,
Mine's also an honorary Britain in the sense it's an anonymous greatest honorary Britain, and that is the person behind the American Eagle advertising campaign with Sydney Sweeney. The unbelievable amount of ink that's been spilled in horror, absolute horror, that this actress actually seems to be happy being who she is. And given the amount the advertising industry has been forcing us to watch people who, frankly, are not your average model. The destruction of people's bottom line when it comes to the sales is because it doesn't work. So I admire this.
The point there, and I'm sorry, we probably should have had a picture really of that, but it was Sydney Sweeney who is the one who's been used here. So very kind of, how would you describe her, voluptuous lady?
Just a pretty young girl with, and this is the point.
Using her assets
she says,
to sell jeans, right?
But it's I like my jeans.
Got a big future in front of her.
Fair enough.
I like my jeans.
All right, Stephen. Let's just put you back in your box for a second. So I'm going to pick an honorary one as well. It's Yorkshire Day today, so well done anyone from Yorkshire. And earlier on, we went up to cover Yorkshire Day, and there's a chap called Colin who had written GB News a poem. And I think we might be able to play the poem.
Young Patrick and Ben that's travelled the world with GB News to see if they can put things right. But we worry over here, you might end up in a fight. But worry not or live in fear, they'll run like hell when that says, that's from Yorkshire.
The only word I understood was Yorkshire.
Exactly, and that's how you know he's Yorkshire, right? It's fantastic. It's the most Yorkshire man you've ever met in your life, so I love it. So that was my one anyway, Colin. Thank you very much. All right, let's do a little bit of a vote. We've got what was the groundsman at the Oval? No, all right. Ozzy Osbourne. Donald Trump. And
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney's rear end. All right. Well, Donald Trump is greatest Britain. Right. We've got less than a minute, so just name them and be quick with it. What's Union Jackass? Quickly.
Yeah. Joey Barton for what he said about the Lionesses.
OK. All right, go on.
Ed Miliband for having lunacy policy. We're importing so much gas, we could produce our own.
Strong contender. Go on.
I am not on the side of Peter Kyle,
nice.
who had his comments made about Nigel Farage being on the side of paedophiles.
OK, go on.
And Martin Rolfe, the head of air traffic control, that's actually screwed up another 600,000-700,000 people's holiday for the second time in 2 years.
He'll get a bonus.
Yeah.
Well, just ridiculous. OK, right, well, let's start with that guy. The guy who has managed to screw up British aviation again. Anyone? Yeah. OK, fine. Peter Kyle. Okay. Who was yours again, Jane? Sorry.
Ed Miliband.
Oh, Ed Miliband. Oh, this is going to be a close run thing. And who's yours?
Joey Barton.
Joey Barton. All right, we're going to have a quick face-off on this one. We've got Ed Miliband versus Peter Kyle. Peter Kyle. Yeah! Ed Miliband. Yeah! Ed Miliband, you are the Union Jackass, and I have longed to say those words for a long time now. All right. Well, thank you very much for everybody. Thank you for being a part of my panel. I will be staying on for the next hour with 3 of you, I hope, because we're going to be doing Patrick Christys Tonight late edition. Thank you very, very much to everyone in the live studio audience. I know I say every week, but I really mean it. You are the absolute best. OK, all right. And if you want to come and be a part of this, you can go to sroaudiences.com, be a part of the action. I will see you all next week. Take care.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures, most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still a chance that that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. Fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. Let's say with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into Northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys tonight, late edition and breaking right now.
And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there.
So the Daily Telegraph is leading with President Trump ordering the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines towards Russia in response to threats from Vladimir Putin. That's a remarkable story, actually. And
I read, and I work at Sainsbury's, and I'm now 94 years of age.
Well, this is about the retirement age. That is, of course, in the eye. Work until you're 70. 2/3 of Brits expect to wait much longer for the pension. I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very blessed to work in a job that I would not want to retire from as long as I can still talk. Hopefully, I could do it. But the idea of most people being forced to work to 70 or 75, I think is a bit shocking. There is also another story doing the rounds tonight, which we're going to get stuck right into, which is apparently the Red Cross is flying migrants in from all around the world. So we've got a charity flying them in. Well, there we are. Remarkable story, that. And on the front page of The Sun, millions of drivers have been denied payouts after the Supreme Court ruled that lenders aren't liable for hidden commission for car finance deals. So do you know, if you ever watch YouTube or anything and there's those, like, car finance adverts, so have you been sold a car? Da, da, da. Well, anyway, it turns out that you're screwed. So we're going to be joined by a barrister to go through all of the details of what it might mean for you at home. Oh, this guy's back in the news.
I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
Well, we're going to test that theory because leading the Mirror, Prince Andrew's told to testify in public over Jeffrey Epstein. It looks like he is going to be testifying in front of the US Congress. Well, we're going to be watching that with close, beady eyes, aren't we? And
cheese.
OK, and your favourite cheese, apparently, can be determined by the way you vote at the election. So we're going to be talking about this. Apparently, what your favourite cheese is determines where you are on the political spectrum. Joining us tonight, we've got former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson, former Labour MP Stephen Pound, and broadcasting royalty Christo Foufas. There we go. It's always weird when the audience leaves. I know, the audience leaves and then it's just silence in here. But anyway, yeah, we've got loads more. Oh, but first, is this the future of working from home? OK, so get ready for Saturday's front pages. The Eye Weekend. Work until you're 70. 2/3 of Brits expect to wait much longer for a state pension. I don't want to poo on this, but I think you're probably going to end up working a lot past 70, actually, unfortunately, the way things are going. We go to The Independent now. Millions of drivers denied payouts over car finance. This is a massive blow for people who basically feel as though they were missold car finance, they were taken for a ride. Apparently, that's not on the table anymore. I think it will affect a lot of people watching and listening to this. If we go to the Daily Express, holiday hell as Storm Floris hits the UK. Storm Floris is 85-mile-an-hour winds. It's ruining the summer season. Is this a thing? Has there been a storm?
It's from Monday.
Oh, it's coming on Monday. Floris arrives on Monday, does
Scotland and Northern Ireland.
Scotland and Northern Ireland. All right, well, I do hope everyone stays safe. I don't want to end up with someone clipping this when it turns out like 20 people have died in Storm Floris. But with respect to the Daily Express, I do think that this is a bit of a rubbish story when we've got everything else going on. Let's go to the Daily Mirror. Here we go. Now we're talking. Prince Andrew told testify in public. Call for Prince Andrew to appear before US Congress. And, yes, about the Epstein scandal. I think we'll discuss that. The Daily Mail. Anne's kidnapped, gunman free. A loner who tried to kidnap Princess Anne and shot 4 men back in 1974 is back out on the street. And apparently he's still fixated. The dangerous loner who tried to kidnap Princess Anne is out and about, and he says apparently he's still obsessed with her. I mean, I suppose in a way that makes me feel better about some of the threats that we all have to put up with. If we can't contain Princess Anne's murderous stalker, then...
It's not all about you, Patrick.
No, The Sun...
Princess Patrick.
Thank you, darling. Car crusher. So, 2 national newspapers are going with the same story. Motor finance bombshell. Court rules out compo for millions. Well, they must think that affects a lot of their readers. So, there we go. The Times. Trump in nuclear sub-deployment against Putin. So, Trump is moving 2 nuclear submarines to go and deal with Russia. It's a far cry, isn't it, from where we all thought we might be with Trump and Putin. The Guardian. Oh, no, sorry, the Telegraph, my fault. Trump sends nuclear subs to Russia. They've also gone for the car finance story. The US is raising alarms over free speech here in Britain. There's a story at the bottom of the Telegraph front page that we are going to talk about. The Red Cross is flying migrants to the UK for free. The Red Cross is paying for hundreds of families to come to the UK to be reunited with migrants who have been granted asylum despite growing concerns over housing shortages. This, I think, is disgusting. The charity sector has a huge amount to answer for. Finally, The Guardian, staggering scale of NHS hidden waiting list crisis. Right, OK. Those are all of your front pages. I think we're leading, we are, I think, yes, with the front of the Daily Telegraph. And it's not their lead story, no, it's that nib at the bottom, as they call it. So it's the Red Cross is paying for hundreds of families to come to the UK so that they can be reunited with people who've been granted asylum here. The charity advises and funds the travel costs of up to 1,000 family members a year. So this is the charity sector getting involved in the migrant crisis and aiding in a better way. You don't need to pay a human trafficker because the Red Cross will help you out. Go on, Jane, you're nodding
Yeah,
out.
no, if you can get one person here, this is the tactic. You send a young man who gets in, claims asylum, and then the Red Cross prevent your family from having to make the same sort of journey or pay a people smuggler. But the whole asylum system, this is another story that says it needs ripping up and starting again.
Well, surely, one thing everybody says about the asylum thing is that what we don't want is single men from Albania coming. What we do want is people who've got established families here. We've got to give people a legitimate route into the country. Everybody says if there was a legal route, people wouldn't come.
But we need a limit.
This is a legal route.
But what it's doing, Stephen, is rewarding people who've broken into Britain illegally.
No, it isn't.
And it is, because
Patrick, these are the people who are coming legally. These are the people who have nothing to do with the people's smuggle. This is done through the United Nations.
But the reason...
They've been granted asylum.
The reason why... No, hang on.
It's family reunion.
The reason why you're talking nonsense is because this is bringing the family members over of single men.
It is not.
Yes, it is.
Show me an iota of evidence to suggest that.
Red Cross is flying migrants to the UK for free. So let's
show me one piece of evidence.
Let's put.
No, don't shout me down. Where's the evidence?
Well,
because it says in the last.
It says it here that this is.
It doesn't say
the Red Cross.
It says nothing about single men.
Well, who are they then? People who are coming here.
Children, wives, or partners of refugees.
Thank you. And the majority of refugees that come here are single men. So it's not. You don't need to be Miss Marple to work out that it's going to be single men who are being rewarded with their family members coming and joining them.
And they're the most robust to make the journey in the first place. And then this allows. If
the Red Cross was saying we're going to process people on other countries that have legitimate asylum claims, whatever whether they're male or female, I would say to you, actually, I agree with your point, but that's not what's being said here.
Well, I'm sorry. You're building a house out of straw here. There's 2 things the Red Cross do. 3 things. Firstly, they're actually reclaiming the money for the state when they comes back because they get money from the government. The second thing is, actually, if some of these people are children from Gaza that are flying out in aid of medical health in this country, they're being flown up. No, they're being flown up by... Thirdly, when they talk about family reunion, that is not somebody who's come across as a single person. Somebody who's got to have been here for 5 years, they've got to put down roots, got to make a living and got to be paying taxes. And they have the right, just as your parents had the right to bring people in. I don't think what's wrong with that.
Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's because of the fact that the majority of people who are coming here are single men. And people get annoyed by that. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing that people get annoyed by.
These are people who've been
If they're single men, they won't have wives and children, will they?
No, I mean, they are single as in they're on with no one else.
This is people who've been granted refugee status. It is not people legally migrating for a job who then have to work for 5 years.
Again, that's a different... But if they're single men, they don't have wives and children, so the argument is...
Single as in they are without other people. And these are refugees. These aren't people with settled status who've been here for years. These are people who are refugees. The Red Cross is paying for hundreds of families to come to the UK to be reunited with migrants who have been granted asylum.
So let me put this to you. Let's just knock it on a little bit and talk about the charity sector in general. So when you go to these migrant camps and you see members of the charity sector there...
Particularly in France.
In France, yeah. Particularly in France. What you will see is a camp camp that is, like, squalid, clearly, and I wouldn't want to live there and no one else would want to live there. However, one of the things that makes it just about livable, right, is that the charity groups will turn up, there's tea and biscuits, there's hot food, there's medical supplies, all of this stuff. So that makes it just about bearable. Or they're giving you some waterproof clothes. Where do we think these migrants get the tents from? A lot of this comes from the charity sector. So they make it OK just about for people to be on the border of Britain there, just about to break in. And then it turns out the Red Cross is flying them in. You know, I am resolutely unconvinced that people in the charity sector are doing anything whatsoever to stop, you know, human traffickers, all of this. At what point, Stephen, do we have to investigate the role that the charity sector is playing in the migrant crisis?
Well, you're investigating it here and now. You're shining a light on it here and now. But look, the point you did, I mean, to give you credit for this, you did an extremely good sort of vox pop in northern France, and you identified some of these voices of Calais and the various other groups. Yeah. People like Len McCluskey and Jeremy Corbyn, who wrote a book of poems to raise money for the people in the camps.
Len McCluskey wrote a book of poems?
Yeah, and Jeremy Corbyn, they wrote half each.
Oh,
what? Anyway, it's called... Anyway, but the point...
There's a stocking filler.
For someone you hate.
The point I'd like to actually give some of the people who are actually doing this, I'd give them credit for their hearts in the right place. Unfortunately, their heads aren't.
But it's creating a big problem. It is making the problem worse. But there are, in 2022, I think, there were more than 100 million people looking to move to a better country than the one they're from. The numbers make our asylum system impossible.
2.5 million Afghans are being pushed out of Pakistan and Iran. So.
But go on quickly.
No, I just
at length.
Yeah, I just think that if they've only got refugee status, what are the Red Cross doing? I get their hearts might be in the right place, but it's not the right thing to be doing.
OK, I'm going to move on a little bit here, just because I really like this Prince Andrew story, and it's on the front of the Daily Mirror. I don't know if we can bring up the Daily Mirror. I'm just going to read you a bit of detail here. So Prince Andrew has been told to testify in public. So he's been urged to reveal all he knows about... They describe Jeffrey Epstein as a pervert here, which I think is doing Jeffrey Epstein a few favours, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more than a pervert.
Yeah.
He is... Well, I think, actually, I would describe him as someone who's against the online safety bill.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that's the best way to describe him, because according to the idiot...
He's a paedophile.
we were talking about earlier. I mean, he's a paedophile. He's a paedophile.
Yeah, right.
He is a paedophile.
So anyway, so the US lawyer who represents victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who again they've just described as a late tycoon. What is wrong with the Daily Mirror? The late tycoon, all round nice guy, Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, they've said that the Duke must now appear before Congress. He can volunteer to testify. His silence is a statement that he's not willing to help. He denies sleeping, obviously, Prince Andrew denies sleeping with Virginia Giuffre, who has now died. And there we go. Right, so do we think that Prince Andrew should go to America and testify before Congress? Because I would love to see it.
I think that, OK, if I was advising Prince Andrew, whether I believe... I mean, if I was advising Prince Andrew, I'd be on the vodka by probably 11 a.m. But the problem is that if he goes and does this, it will create the huge media furore around it. And also, let's be honest, he is not very self-aware, doesn't really come across well when he's being interviewed. And so it would be disastrous for putting the story to bed. And bearing in mind his poor late mother spent millions in trying to suppress this story, it would seem completely to defeat the object to then go and testify and bring it all back up. However, the moral thing to do is probably go and you know, say what he thinks and give those victims, whether he is innocent or not, and he claims he's innocent, closure. But I don't think he's going to do that.
But I think Jeffrey Epstein had many, many powerful friends. Are they being invited to go and testify to Congress as well? Is it just
a very good question
for the kind of celebrity?
I've just noticed something, actually. So we've been talking about the Daily Mirror's front page there, which is Andrew told testify in public. If we go to the Daily Mail, they've got a big piece. They call it a world exclusive on Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew's getting an absolute kicking in the press tomorrow. Prince Andrew, his royal oafishness, sex-obsessed, vulgar, ignorant, entitled and breathtakingly rude. Starting today...
That's my bio.
The most devastating royal biography ever written. by an acclaimed historian. That is quite a big thing on the front of the Daily Mail, Stephen. So how Prince Andrew described as sex-obsessed, vulgar, ignorant, entitled and rude.
I spoke to somebody who worked at his palace, and he has these 57 teddy bears that have to be organised in order on his bed every night, and he has a little map showing where they should be. And if the upstairs maid or the chamber maid doesn't do it right, then she gets shouted at. But I think most of us are sick to the back teeth of this. If Prince Andrew wants to put this to bed, he's not going to go and sweat in front of the... well, he wouldn't sweat, obviously, in front of the Congressional... He needs to give evidence under oath here in the UK, or give it anywhere, it doesn't matter where he gives it. Give evidence under oath. However, he will not then be cross-examined, and I think that's the reason why he will not go to America. We don't have an extradition treaty. He won't go.
He will never, ever...
But I think it's incredibly sad for the royal family when you have Princess Anne's story underneath that, and what Princess Anne, who's just had her 75th birthday, and I think most British people absolutely love Princess Anne.
Potential
She's
predator,
so
potential kidnapper.
Mind you, I almost felt sorry for the kidnapper when he tried, because you remember what Princess Anne said to him when he stopped her in the Mall. I mean, fair play.
She got into...
Yes, indeed, she did.
Naff off, shall we say.
Naff off.
Yes.
Yeah, but she got evidence from her security guard, and the security guard said, actually, I was more frightened of Her Majesty than I was at the guard.
Yes. Yeah. Princess Anne, I think, for a lot of people, is their favourite royal now.
Yes.
Isn't
she works so hard. Yes. She gets her head down. She's not like worried. Whereas, and she also, let's be honest, I am a massive monarchist, but the royals don't have much intelligence between them because they've never had to.
Not now, they don't.
No, and William's got a couple of brain cells, Anne's got some brain cells, Andrew, sadly, devoid of any whatsoever.
I'm very concerned about the king. I'll just say it. I'm very, very concerned about the king.
Yeah, he's too obsessed with what people think of him rather than actually being, I think, a good monarch. I think that's. I
worry about it because it is a massive, and I've got no doubt. He's a nice enough guy and all this, and I don't want to. Certainly on Britain's #1 news channel, I certainly would not want to be seen to be slagging off the monarchy at all. And I'm not. I'm genuinely not. I think he's getting bad advice.
Yes,
maybe.
I think we can support the institution of the monarchy. I think it's entirely legitimate to support the institution, but it's equally entirely legitimate to actually shine the light on some of these people.
But he has a very difficult act to follow. We were so lucky to have had the late
Princess Anne.
Really fair point.
Would you mind, Jane? Sorry, if that's all right, just talking us through a little bit of this stuff on the Princess Anne story on the front of the Mail.
As Princess Anne celebrates her 75th birthday, we hear that the man that I think was on the Mall, wasn't it, who flagged the car down, tried to kidnap her. And I think someone was shot, someone who
a member of the public
who
intervened and helped her.
But it was a really violent, extremely frightening evening.
This chap
is saying he's still fixated with her. I can't read the whole story.
I tell you what, here is the detail. He was released quietly in 2019.
Was he?
They let him out in 2019.
Where's the story in the paper today, then?
Yeah, well, we've only just found out about it. And he's campaigning to clear his name. He's self-publishing a book.
I think he did that about the events, and he says, I'm innocent and I'm a sane man. However, he pleaded guilty in court when it was tried in the 70s.
And admitted attempted kidnapping and 2 attempted murders. So
I don't forget, it wasn't all that long ago that he would have been swung off for that because,
So he was in Broadmoor. He was deemed to be mentally ill, not.
But what does it say about Britain?
What does it say about the parole board? The parole board is supposed to examine these, but you're supposed to have 3 independent witnesses, including a psychiatrist, to say, is this person likely to reoffend? It seems to me that this person is a complete wrong-un, and he is likely to reoffend.
Clearly, and I'm sorry, but what does this say about what chance have the rest of us got? If the bloke who tried to kidnap her, I don't know who he wanted to kill.
He's been out on the street for 7 years.
What I will say, though, is that I mean, if there was anyone who is going to be tough enough to be able to fend off a kidnapper, it's Princess. I mean, if there was ever, if nuclear war happens, I want to be with Princess Anne.
Yeah.
Because she'll just fend it off. She'll be out by morning.
Does it say how old
one of her dry sweaters?
Because it was back in '74, I think he did. How old is he now?
77.
He was in his early 20s.
So, like me, he's in the prime of his youth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right, OK, well done. We've covered quite a lot there. It's a good set of front pages, actually, and we've got David Lammy thinks that he and J.D. Vance are kindred spirits. That's in The Guardian. The Guardian front page gone for that. Interesting, actually, because J.D. Vance accused Europe of trying to destroy Western civilization, and I would argue that David Lammy is destroying Western civilization, so I suppose maybe there is a similarity there. And would you make people pay for tickets to your wedding? Well, that's in one of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and President Trump has just deployed nuclear submarines to Russia.
This is the most significant story we're getting, I think.
I love
Good.
that was your third story. Nuclear war, by the way, as well. After the break.
I welcome nuclear war. Stay tuned.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Farage, Monday to Thursday from 7 p.m.
Just a few weeks after reuniting with Black Sabbath and performing a farewell concert for fans. And I'm joined now by Alex Dyke, radio DJ, broadcaster, formerly of the BBC, who's going to pay a bit of a tribute, I think, to Ozzy Osbourne. Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much, Nigel. You know, Ozzy will probably be remembered as the guy who shouted at his wife in the Osbourne's reality TV show from the early 2000s. But there was so much more, Nigel, to Ozzy than that. He was a pioneer of heavy metal rock. And you've got to remember, in the very early 70s, the rock that was coming out of Britain after the Beatles had split up was progressive rock. It was self-indulgent 6-minute drum solos and things like that, you know, when you think back to early Genesis and Jethro Tull. But Ozzy wasn't that at all. He was a heavy metal pioneer and a heavy metal hero. He sold over 100 million albums with his band Black Sabbath, who fired him in... Nigel, did you know he was fired by Black Sabbath?
I didn't know that. For what reason?
He was fired, Nigel, because of his drug and drink problems. He was addicted. And when we do look back at him 20 years ago in the early noughties in the Osbournes, you could see then he was frail. His body was shot because he had abused his body so badly through... drink and drugs. But Sharon Osbourne, of course, his wife, was his second wife. She was his manager, and he married her in the early 80s. And he came back as a solo star with a brilliant first album called Blizzard of Oz. Ozzy was all about showbiz.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, a decent range of stories on Saturday's front pages. There's a couple that are leading with car finance, actually, which is the fact that you're not going to get any compo, apparently, so that might affect you. But, yeah, the weekend has gone with work until you're 70. Two-thirds of Brits expecting to wait much longer for the state pension. The Independent is going on that story. Millions of drivers denied payouts over car finance. We'll touch on that later. The Express is basically wants you to know there's a big storm on the way, which I think is ridiculous, given everything that's going on in the world. But anyway, the Mirror, Prince Andrew is potentially going to testify with the US over Jeffrey Epstein. And the Daily Mail, Princess Anne's kidnapper is free and has been for some time. The Sun also have that car finance story. The Times have gone for the story that we're going to be focusing on right now. So forget the other newspapers for now. Let's zone in on this. Trump in nuclear sub-deployment against Putin. America hits back at provocation by Russia. So here we go. President Trump has ordered the deployment of 2 American nuclear submarines in response to Russia. The US president said that the mobilization was in response to foolish and inflammatory statements by Dmitry Medvedev, who's the former Russian president who is now deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. He was a key ally of President Putin and has warned that Russia could go to war with America after Trump pledged to impose sanctions on Moscow if it did not agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine within 10 or 12 days. Now, Stephen, before we went to break, you said this was the most significant story we'll cover tonight. Why is it not just rhetoric and hot air, Steve?
Because there's only been one time in history when the United States have actually deployed nuclear ISBN submarines, and that was at the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's one other possible at the Yom Kippur where they may have done it, we're not too sure. However, what this has done, the word is escalation. These are Ohio-class ones, and the Americans got about 14 Ohio-class nuclear submarines, and they have between 20 and 24 Trident missiles. They have the capacity to destroy a country in half a continent. The problem with this is the minute you actually start moving into another person's territory, they will retaliate. Now, what President Trump has done, he's not said where he's actually deploying these boats to. What he said is that they're in the appropriate area. Now, that could be in the Baltic, it could be it could be anywhere, it could be in the South Pacific. We don't know. However, the way the Russians are at the present time, and Medvedev, by the way, is not a figure of significance. He's Putin's mini-me. I mean, he was the stooge for Putin for a long, long time. However, we think that when Medvedev speaks, it is Putin who's standing behind him with his... So, look, the reality is, what would they do in the Kremlin today when they're told that there are 2 Ohio-class submarines approaching their country? You know and I know that the instant reaction will be to deploy their anti-submarine crews immediately. There will be anti-submarine frigates on the surface. There will be hunter-killer submarines out there looking for the ISBNs. And I'm terrified. So the minute one American submarine gets fired on...
Oh, that's it.
I'm sorry, that's good night, Vienna.
Right. Christo, are you now...
Sorry to be...
Well, I was going to say I was having quite a good time this Friday evening. We had a studio audience in before. We were all here. We was quite jovial, actually. There were people outside eating cakes. And now we're all going to die.
From a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't great, is it? Especially when you consider as well... Yeah,
This is not optimal.
Yeah, this isn't the news that I was hoping for. I mean, what's interesting about this is, of course, that we've seen a real, I think, in the last 24, 48 hours, quite an escalation as well in Ukraine. And so, I mean, I was hoping that was, perhaps naively, that was like the last hurrah before a ceasefire, trying to gain as much as possible. But it does appear that things are now escalating, and Trump is not messing about, is he? It's whether this is... I mean, what's interesting about Medvedev is what's his name? Medvedev.
Yeah.
You're quite right. Historically, he's full of bluster, and he's full of sort of saying all of this stuff. It's whether it should be taken seriously and whether it's sort of sticking it out there to see what bites. The problem is Trump has bitten, and I get why Trump has bitten. Will that lead to it getting actually worse?
But he hasn't said they're going into Russian waters.
No.
He said that he's putting them in appropriate regions. But, you know, the secrecy around where nuclear submarines are is absolutely... It has to be paramount. So...
I mean, he's not going to...
They'll be in the Arctic. Guaranteed they'll be in the Arctic.
Going to... I mean, it depends. Is it really in Russia's interests to do something accidentally on purpose that damages an American nuclear submarine? No. So Trump has said that Putin must agree to a truce by Friday and condemned recent attacks on Ukraine. So it's disgusting. He just said, based on the highly provocative statements by the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just words.
But Donald Trump, his patience, quite rightly, has run out. He gave Putin a chance. He wanted peace. He came into office. He gave him the benefit of the doubt. He tried to give him a decent way forward. And now, I mean, Donald Trump, he's not going to back down.
No.
You know that he will...
Do you think is there a resolution, though, that could see both of them saving face somehow?
Well, one of the first things you do when you in war studies is you allow your enemy a place to retreat to.
Yes.
You've got to allow someone to retreat. The Duke of Wellington said that, and it's been said by von Clausewitz and everybody since then. You have to allow them the ability to retreat.
But Trump tried to do that, and it would have meant Crimea staying... probably with Russia, and a sort of...
But it was also...
I think maybe that was Obama's fault, I'm sorry, and Biden's fault.
Well, there we go. Done more in 2014, but apart from that... but Trump, his patience is gone.
Yeah, but how does Russia respond in any way that doesn't actually destroy their sense of pride and their patriotism? At the moment, they've just had this huge celebration yesterday in Red Square, for the Russian soldiers who died in the First World War. And so they'll have celebrations all the time.
And what's their casualty rate in Ukraine now? The Russian
well, it's over 1 million now. It's over 1 million.
It's horrific.
And these take it. But the point being that Putin's got this whole thing about the country in danger. We've got NATO as unarmed. And the minute somebody says, "Hang on a second, Putin was right," the submarines are actually approaching our waters. You know, that is going to ramp up the tension incredibly quickly.
The problem is that Putin thinks, and I've said this many times before, Putin doesn't think he's the bad guy. He thinks that he's correcting wrongs that were made in the late 80s from the then US Secretary of State, James Baker, who you know, not 1 inch. There's a really great book about this, which is the memorandum that was said to Gorbachev that we will not go 1 more inch after East Germany. It becomes, you know, it goes to NATO, and it has, of course, NATO has expanded. Now these are all sovereign countries; they have every right to expand. But Putin is saying, well, I've got to write all of that. And so I think we're in a bit of a stalemate.
Just quickly, just very quickly, before we go to this break, there is a story on the Weekend with front page, which we're going to talk about a bit later on in the show. But just initial thoughts. What do you think the retirement age is going to be in, like, you know, by the time I don't know. So I'm 33 now. By the time I get to 70, I honestly wonder if the state retirement age is going to be like 80. If at all. The reason is they are leading with the story that's work until you're 70. 2/3 of Brits expect to wait much longer for the state pension. We've got an ageing population. We've got all of this going forward. I wonder if we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And there is a big story on the front of 3 national newspapers, which is huge for you and anyone you know who has ever had a car on finance. Stay tuned.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures. Most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. A fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. As I say, with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into Northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel. Welcome back to Late Edition. Now, more of your front pages, and millions are going to be denied car finance compensation payouts. It's on 3 different national newspapers tomorrow. We might as well go with the I Weekend, because they've done it in the biggest writing, I think. So, oh, no, sorry, the Independent, sorry, my bad. Millions of drivers denied payouts over car finance. It's a blow for consumers. The Supreme Court has ruled that lenders are not liable for compensation over hidden commission payments, except in the most serious cases. Now, I don't know about you. If you're anything like me, you know, you watch a little bit of YouTube or these things, and there's adverts before the videos, and it's all car finance in terms of compensation. So millions of drivers hoping for these payouts have been dealt this huge blow. I wanted to know a little bit more about this. So before we talk to the panel, I'm going to introduce barrister at Harkers Parker, Nate Barber. Thank you very much, Nate. Tremendous to have you on, especially this time of night on a Friday. Good for you. Right, look, what's going on here, mate?
Yeah, so the Supreme Court handed down judgment today, and it has limited, to a certain extent, some of these claims. But there are still millions of people who are entitled to compensation, which is worth potentially billions across the UK. OK, so a lot of people thought they were... Why did they think they were owed it? Well, these hidden commission payments. So what's that all about? Precisely. So essentially what happened was that these people were buying cars on finance. Most cars in the UK are sold on finance nowadays. And what happened was that you would go into your car dealership, you would buy your car, and the broker would effectively say, we can also sell you this finance and it's going to cost you this amount of money. But what they weren't telling you was the fact that actually they were receiving a hidden commission, a hidden payment for setting up that finance from the lenders. And sometimes the amount that could have been vast. So sort of 25%, for example, of the total amount that you were borrowing. And what you weren't getting the best deal for your money, because that person was actually getting a kickback for selling you that finance.
Right, OK. So this seems to me like the kind of thing you probably should be allowed to claim compensation for. So why on earth the Supreme Court blocked it?
So the Supreme Court's blocked it in certain circumstances. So it's around, this affects sort of 60% of the finance that was being sold. So actually 40% is still entitled compensation. But essentially the court found that you couldn't bring a claim on the basis that that broker was acting solely on your behalf. But it also did find that there were some cases, one of the cases before the Supreme Court, where actually they did have a claim because there was an unfair relationship between the consumer and also the broker.
I'm just going to introduce, we've got a panel here, and one of them, Christo, is desperate to ask a question on this. So go on, Christo.
Well, I just want to know, so these finance deals were sold to people who came into the dealership and were buying vehicles. So is the issue that basically there were better finance deals from that dealership on offer, but because they weren't getting commission from them, they were directing the consumers to those deals that didn't have a great interest rate in order to get the commission?
Yeah, precisely that. Or, for example, they weren't making clients aware that they could shop around and find better deals as well. And the people who were going in thought that they were going to be getting the best deal, but that just simply wasn't the case.
This is a bit rum, isn't it? Really?
Well, I don't know if it is, though, because hasn't this been around for ages? Yeah. And should consumers not be aware that whatever the dealership is going to give to you is probably not going to be the best deal? I don't know. A part of me sort of understands this is just business, isn't it?
Caveat emptor. But, all right. But the thing is, it's not just cars, it's white goods. Every time you used to buy a fridge or anything, they'd always say, would you like to take insurance?
We've got Nate is sitting there patiently, Steve. I'll come back to you in a second. Well, look, final words to this now. I mean, is this it now? Because you see these adverts just all the time now. I've been seeing them, check your car finance, you could be owed this, you could be owed this. But you saying that there's still some people out there who are still eligible for compo?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the FCA has indicated that it might be setting up a redress scheme, but details about that are really vague at the moment. The best thing to do is really to look online and see whether or not you might be entitled to compensation, and then, sort of we'll go from there.
And sorry, is it between a particular time? I mean, like if someone got a car on finance, like I got a car on finance, I think like a year and a half ago. I mean, am I eligible, or is it between a fixed date?
Yeah, so it depends really on when the finance was set up. So it was really within the last sort of 15 years or so.
Oh, fair enough. All right, Nate. Hey, thank you very much. Cheers for that. That's Nate Barber there, who's barrister at Harkers Parker. Right, sorry, Stephen, I'll let you in and then Jane. So you were saying, they just seem... I just wonder whether or not they're denying... I don't want to accuse a judge of being biased here, but, like, presumably this would cripple certain industries, wouldn't it? Whether it's the car... If everyone's allowed to claim compensation, I mean, like, those people are going bankrupt, so, I mean...
It would be incredibly difficult to enforce because a huge number of car dealerships have closed down, they've gone out of business, the officers have let people said, oh, they did it on their own. But the point I'm making is that, you know, you buy a fridge or you buy almost anything, and they'll always say, would you like to take out insurance for a couple of years?
Yeah.
Now, in most cases, the insurance is actually covered by the consumer protection legislation. You've got consumer protection. And so anybody who'd ever say to me, anybody in my family, if they're talking about buying a computer or anything, I'd say, no, don't go for that insurance. It's nonsense.
Yeah, but basically, you have to have a mindset that everyone is out to con you. And luckily, I've got a father and a mother, but especially my father, who has always sort of drummed that into me. So when I bought a car and I did finance, I went to actually a lender myself and got the finance and got it on a better deal. And then I renegotiated with the car deal, all of those sorts of things, because that's the mindset you have to have. But I think the real victims here, and it always staggers me, that I bought my first brand new car when I was not a young man, and I stayed awake thinking about those car payments. Like, but you can go and get finance when you're like 19 for a Range Rover. It staggers me.
Or get it on the
but you can't get insurance.
Or get it on the Motability scheme.
Yeah.
Get it on the Motability scheme. You know, even if a relative in your house has got a bad enough bank, you can get a Motability. By the way, can I just say, every time I say this now, someone writes in, and they always write in, and there's like, it's the people who genuinely need a Motability vehicle. I am not talking about you. I'm talking about everyone else who's on the take with this custom. You know, you've got a bad back, your granddad's got a bad back, he gets a brand new Merc and you drive it.
The majority of every car in Northern Ireland is now a mobility car.
Yeah. No, there was some ridiculous mobility criteria.
Yeah.
I think acne was one of them. And other things.
But not living in acne.
No, he's here all week. Yeah.
He's here all week. But on these cars, surely you walk into a showroom, you look at a car, they tell you the monthly payments, you know you're paying interest, but I think 25%, Nate said, of the commission on the interest that you're going to pay. It probably isn't a massive amount of money, and that's the deal you sort of agreed to. You didn't know there was commission, and that's understandable.
You know this story is affecting literally millions of people because, so you've got The Independent have gone on it, The Sun has gone on it, someone else mentioned it, I think The Telegraph mentioned it on their front page, but The Sun especially, like, so there are some days in a newsroom where you're sitting there and you're thinking, right, OK, like, for example, the Daily Express have gone off on weather, which is normally the kind of thing you would do if you think that there is not any other great news about, which I'm struggling to understand when it comes to the news agenda we've got here. But anyway, The Sun, I think especially, have looked at it and thought clearly this affects millions of our readers.
But the finance on this, they delayed the judgment till after the stock market had closed because the potential claims, had all of these been approved, you could claim compensation for the whole lot, could have caused a bit of a meltdown in the stock market. It is a massive, massive
It is,
amount
but it's
of
also
money.
a really good thing that it's out there because you should, I mean, in a way it's not big news because, you know, banks and finance companies are quite bad and are going to try and con you. You know, that's headline news, isn't it? However, it's good that we're knowing that this is the case because you have to be aware of this
And
stuff.
consumer education is always important, and I would go to
Consumer
website.
journalism is so important.
Exactly. So Martin Lewis's website, I think, is fantastic. It's got really solid advice about cheapest way to do lots of things.
Can I quickly just come on to this retirement age story? Work until you're 70. Change in the UK attitudes towards employment. It's on the front of the iWeekend. So it goes, 69% of the UK public think that the state pension age will rise to at least 69. The future of the triple lock and state pension is set to become flashpoints to the next election. Only 18% of voters support an end to the triple lock.
Well, obviously, but look, the reality is, I was born on the same day as the National Health Service, and the National Health Service is predicated on a number of things. Firstly, the idea that women didn't work, so they'd look after elderly people. Men would work until they were 65 and die at the age of 75. And within 3 years, the NHS was financially unsustainable because people were living longer. The reality is...
success.
I was going to say, why were they living longer?
Look, I retired when I was about 73, if you call, you know, my previous job work.
How old are you, out of interest?
I'm 77. Yeah.
Well done, you.
Well, work it out, mate. If I was born...
You were 77. Work it out. I'm not going to
And if I was born on the same day as the NHS...
Oh, well, sorry. Tip of my tongue, that, mate. Honestly, happy birthday.
No, but here's the thing. There are some people I know who... I mean, there's a lot of people down at one of the local builders merchants around my way. People working in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah. My parents are in their 75, 76, and they both work full-time. They got jobs when they retired because they got...
So the question is, how do you... The key thing, the key determinant is the pension age. And I think we cannot, with a shrinking working population And don't forget, a lot of the population is not the working population.
Well, they can't be
or we could
bothered
end
to
up with a situation like in Japan, where we have like 20% of the population are actually just financing 80% of the population.
Yeah. And this is terrifying for young people. This is really unfair. They've got student debt. Housing costs proportional to salaries have gone massively. And this is the problem. We do need to retire later, but some professions, you can't be a fireman over the age of whatever. So, you know, some people cannot keep working. I'd be very happy to keep working.
There's barristers working in their 80s and their 90s. Yeah, but there's, you know, as you rightly say, if you're a firefighter, you can't.
I absolutely agree. You need to have exemptions for some things. I will work until I drop dead. Ideally, I'd like to drop dead on air, but it will be halfway through because then you get the full fee.
Oh, you've died on air a few times.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're here all week. I thought you were doing that deliberately to set me up because that is very much what you would have said to me. Right, coming up.
We import 2/3 of our cheese. That is a disgrace.
Oh, I like Liz Truss, but that was an absolute shocker. Was that the same as the pork farm speech? I think it was.
It was. It was.
Pork markets.
Yeah. China is not buying pork.
Sorry, there is a point to this. Sorry. So apparently the cheese you like indicates which way you vote. So we'll find out. I'll be... No, I was going to make a joke that I'm not going to do. Take a break.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, so week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Right, loads more coming your way. Obviously, tomorrow's newspapers, or Saturday's newspapers, depending on which time you're watching us, are pretty stats full of stuff. We've got World War III, potentially, but we decided that we've already spoken enough about the end of the world, so we thought the best thing to do now is talk about cheese. And a new poll has revealed that the UK's voting intentions can be predicted by favourite cheese. So, can we come? Any guesses for anyone at what we think Reform voters might have as their favourite cheese?
Hard cheddar.
But I've just seen it flash up on the thing. But blue cheese is the work of the devil. Blue cheese is the devil's work, I'm afraid.
I think they'd like a smelly cheese. I think a Reform voter would like a smelly cheese.
Why is that?
I don't know. I feel like it's very, I don't know. I can kind of feel like Reform voters like picnics and typical English afternoon and, you know, strawberries, cream, maybe a bit of...
This is John Major, his old mate.
Stilton.
So, what's the only cheese that's left after an explosion in the cheese factory?
I don't know.
Debris.
Oh, nice. Oh, I get the impression you've got a lot more of these. Okay, so Reform voters, it is Stilton and cheddar, apparently.
Like cheddar.
Yeah, thank you.
Strong cheddar.
What about Red Leicester?
Well, Labour dominates amongst feta lovers. Of course, they flipping
What's the hell? What's that?
Oh, the feta is the Ponzi one Arsenal fansy. That's what it is.
Feta is the Greek cheese.
Halloumi, really.
No, feta. Halloumi. It's feta is Greek.
Yeah, but think about
racist.
No, I'm sorry.
You are on the side of
Labour votes. Honestly, think about Labour voters. We know who they are. They take Olive to the football, don't they? You know, that's it, isn't it?
I don't even know Olive.
Hey, all right. The Tories, there you go, Stephen. Yeah. They're fans of brie.
I don't like brie.
Apparently. Oh, here we go. We'll find out what the Greens are. A camembert?
Yeah.
I love a camembert, though, and I'm not a greenie. But there we go.
I'm really annoyed about
it's
feta.
Halloumi for me. Feta's fine. But you know what? I don't feel like feta's a bit overdone, mate. Halloumi's proper.
Halloumi is Cypriot, I think.
Well, there we go.
Actually, you know, I'm not a fake Greek, I'm a real Greek.
Oh, come off it, you're a mainlander, mate.
Do you remember what
you're mainlander?
Do you remember General de Gaulle said it's impossible to even consider governing France? Any country that's got 164 different cheeses is ungovernable.
Right, OK. Anyway, right, OK, sorry, I'm being told that I need to, well, rightly so, by the way, do a roundup of Saturday's papers. So thank you very much, everybody. Let's do it. The I-Weekend.
You better move on.
You better move on. There we are.
Hard cheese.
Work until you're 70. They're talking about the retirement age in the I-Weekend. The next paper that we're going to do is The Independent. If you've got a car on finance, you're screwed. The Daily Express. Bad weather, don't go out. Big storm, but they've called the storm Floris. It kind of makes you want to go out. Next paper is The Mirror, and they've got Prince Andrew being told to testify in public. He's telling him to go to the US, testify about Jeffrey Epstein. That'll make you sweat. Then we go Daily Mail.
You hear what you did?
Daily Mail. Anne's kidnapped. Gunman is free. The Sun, the same story about if you've got a finance car, you can't get any compo. That's a shame. Thank you to our wonderful panel. Thank you to you at home. Thank you to everyone who's made GB News Britain's #1 news channel. Take it easy.
And thank you, Pat.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures, most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. Fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. Let's say with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into Northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. Tonight on the show we have former Conservative Member of Parliament Heather Wheeler. She'll be going head-to-head with political commentator Benjamin Butterworth. We've got multi-tradesman Steve Baker and top international chef Ben Harris. But first, let's go to the news.
Good evening. The top stories from the GB newsroom. Lenders appear to have avoided potentially having to pay compensation to millions of drivers after the Supreme Court ruled they are not liable for hidden commission payments in car finance schemes. The court sided with one of the claimants, a Mr Johnson, and awarded him individual compensation due to the circumstances in his case. Two lenders, First Rand Bank and Close Brothers, went to the UK's highest court to challenge a Court of Appeal ruling which found secret commission payments paid by buyers to car dealers as part of finance arrangements made before 2021 without the motorist's fully informed consent were unlawful. It's been revealed that foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. According to official data published for the first time, the number of foreigners in prisons for serious violent, sexual and theft offences has also risen over the past year. And Donald Trump says he's ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, he says, in a row with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. It comes after Mr Medvedev, who is now deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, told the US president on Thursday yesterday to remember that Moscow had Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort. Well, today, Mr Trump wrote on social media, based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements, he says, are more than just that. The spat between Mr Trump and Mr Medvedev came after the US president warned Russia on Tuesday it had 10 days from today to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine or face tariffs along with its oil buyers. And those are the latest headlines. For now, more news in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield, and joining me tonight on the show, he's back, the left-wing agitator, Benjamin Butterworth. He's our left in the corner, but the board is missing this week, Benjamin. It's up in Scotland somewhere. And a great friend of the show, Heather Wheeler, former Tory minister. Guys, just this week, Peter Kyle, a Labour minister, made these comments about Nigel Farage. Just take a look at this.
I see that Nigel Farage is already saying that he's going to overturn these laws. So, we have people out there who are extreme pornographers, peddling hate, peddling violence. Nigel Farage is on their side. Make no mistake about it, if people like Jimmy Savile were alive today, he'd be perpetrating his crimes online. And Nigel Farage is saying that he's on their side.
So, Benjamin, before we comment on that clip, my mother thinks you're great, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah,
so there is someone in your family with good judgment.
She needs therapy, she needs treatment, and so we'll be watching this show. But let's go back to the clip. I mean, these comments by Peter Kyle saying that, or suggesting that Nigel was somehow in support of paedophiles and the late Jimmy Savile. Surely he should apologise for this.
I mean, maybe he should apologise when people stop saying that Labour was somehow in bed with grooming gangs, which is a completely unfair thing.
Quick deflection there from the left in the corner.
It's not. I think it was
Please answer the question.
A very unpalatable thing. Look, do I think Nigel Farage supports Jimmy Savile? Obviously not. But the question is, who would benefit from not having these boundaries in online safety? And that would be predators. That would be people that want to exploit kids, and that would also be young people themselves that would see content they shouldn't. So actually, if you're asking who would benefit, well, it would be some pretty dubious people.
Would they benefit, Heather?
Unfortunately, yes. Clearly, the tone was wrong. Clearly, the suggestion of anywhere near Jimmy Savile, he shouldn't have done that. Absolutely, he shouldn't have done that. But actually, the principle of what he's saying is totally correct. Now, what I'm really more worried about is that some of the censorship that's happened so far is clearly wrong. How can you censor somebody who's actually been speaking in Parliament? So you can watch it on Parliament TV, but you can't watch it on X or YouTube. That's clearly wrong. And what Kyle needs to be doing is getting hold of the tech companies and saying, and getting hold of Ofcom. And yet again, Ofcom needs to do their job. And that's where this has gone wrong. It's teething problems. It needs to get sorted.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the old act needs ripping up.
No.
Well, it does, Heather. I'll come back to Benjamin, because we talk about safety for children. Everybody wants to see safety for our children online, but our children are much more savvy than what we are, and they can find ways of bypassing this straight away with their own VPNs. They can, when little Johnny's upstairs in his bedroom on his computer, Mum and Dad do not know what he's looking at, and they are very, very skillful. They're very clever, and once one finds a loophole or a way round, all the mates in their class and the school did exactly the same thing, so it's a complete waste of time.
Well, so VPNs are these things that let you pretend that you're someone or somewhere else. So yeah, it's true that tech-savvy teens...
So what's the point then?
Well, first of all, at least that's a barrier that's not there at the moment. But secondly, that can be fixed, right? So in order to get one of these VPNs, you need to pay for it. So I'm not sure how many teenagers actually will have card access to be able to buy one of those things. But of course, you can also just say that if you're under 18, then you can't get one of those bypasses. That's easily fixed. And I think, you might not love that, but I think that matters more than the idea that right now you've got 12-year-olds, whether by accident of algorithm or on purpose, seeing things that can really mess their minds up.
But once we get these VPNs, Heather, that opens other doors as well. We've got the dark web lurking around in the background, which is much more dangerous than the normal web.
Well, I think that it's been a real wake-up call. So the tech companies were on side with the bill. They'd agree. I mean, this has taken about 3.5 years to get through Parliament. So it was a real tough slog. Can you imagine the minister having to go out to California a lot? Must have been awful.
Yeah,
but more than that, now that we're finding where the glitches are, that's where it would be useful for Farage and you guys, and obviously our front bench as well, to really get into it and sort out the glitches, because it is definitely the right act. I don't agree with you that the action...
OK, Benjamin, this is a can of worms, this is. I don't think we can ever police or monitor the internet successfully. I just don't think we can do it, because it's like I just said with the VPNs, there's always going to be a way where young people or whoever can circumnavigate the whole system and get to find what they're actually looking for.
Look, there'll always be people that find a way around stuff. That's true of probably every law in the land. But what I'd say to you is, why are you content to sit back and just let kids access dangerous material, whether it's pornographic, whether it's violent, whether it's things like encouraging them to be anorexic or suicidal? Why are you happy to sit in Parliament and just say, oh, well, we can't do anything about that?
Well, that's not true, is it, Benjamin?
Well, I'm trying to work out.
Well, show me the proof. Show me the money. How is that true?
Well, you just said that you think you can never solve it and you shouldn't...
Well, I don't think you can. I think we should do our level best to try and protect young people online, but will you it's like the gangs, it's like smashing the gangs, it's like smashing the drug trade. We're never going to win this war unless...
Sounds like you've given up, Lee.
No. Unless, Benjamin, we have proper consequences to people's actions online. Heather.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are huge fines. I mean, we're not talking £50,000 fines.
But fines
we're talking £5 million.
They're not big enough, Heather, are they?
A £5 million fine is pretty chunky. I mean, and it's a percentage. It's also a percentage of their turnover. Yeah. So, I mean, it really is big stuff. And I think that the Googles of this world are as embarrassed as anybody else that this should not be happening. But I genuinely think this is an opportunity for Ofcom to shine. And if Ofcom can get this right, then maybe they'll stay. But if they don't get this right, then the same thing I think is going to happen to them that happens with Ofcom.
Benjamin, can Ofcom get it right?
Well, I do think one valid question is it's really difficult to try and regulate through Ofcom all of these different websites and social media platforms, because the sheer scale of them and the sheer ease to create new websites is extremely difficult. So I think Ofcom probably isn't big enough at the moment to do that. But you can't just give up on something that I think is such a threat to our social fabric.
Nobody's given up. You're just twisting words again. Nobody's given up.
But hang on, but you're saying that you think that... You did say that I don't think you should monitor the internet in this way.
No, I didn't.
I'm sure you did. So what? Well, it was filmed, so we're in luck.
Yeah.
So what would you do if not this?
Look, I asked the questions on this show, Benjamin, not you. The big tech companies...
I'm not a politician.
The big tech companies, Heather, are they doing enough?
Apparently not. And also, apparently... I don't want it to look like they were paying lip service, because if they were paying lip service, then I will come down on them like a ton of bricks, because we are beyond free speech on this. I know it's not something you've mentioned, and we hold that as a dear, dear thing.
Yeah.
But we started with this, with the appalling stuff about anorexia and encouraging people to take their own lives. I mean, these young 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds that killed themselves. That's where all this started from. And it came from the right thing to do. And I think we have enough brains in our country that we ought to be able to sort this out.
So I think we need bigger penalties, Benjamin. I remember about 4 years ago, I had to take legal action against Google. In fact, you can Google this if you want to. Or
ask Jeeves.
Somebody put an advert online to say that Lee Anderson protects paedophiles. It was something like that, or Lee Anderson's office protects paedophiles. This was actually shown to me, Heather, by my whip at the time. I forgot the name now. What's that? My memory's going.
So Whip's doing a good job.
Whip's doing a good job, yeah, pastoral care. And I just thought nothing of it. And she actually, it was Maggie through.
Right.
And she says, no, you need to do something about this. You need to take it further. So I consulted a solicitor. He says, this is bad. This is really, really bad. It actually went on the Guido Fawkes as a pop-up advert, and it was popping up everywhere on the internet.
That's terrible.
So I contacted Guido. They said, oh, well, sorry. Took it down straight away. Apparently, somebody had paid, well, I know it was, they'd paid maybe £10, £20 to put this advert on the internet, and it just comes up as a banner all over different websites everywhere. So the sort of websites that my supporters would go on. It's very clever how they do it. So my solicitor wrote to Google, and they says, no, clear off. And it took about a year of actually getting them to own up and apologise, and in the end, I went to the High Court in London, and they apologised to me for it, and they paid my legal fees. And this is how difficult it is, Benjamin, to take on the big tech companies. If